and rubbing Howard's Rock is a tradition like none other. Looking toward another great football season, Clemson football spring game is next on ESPN3. You're watching the ACC on ESPN, and what a beautiful day for spring football. In Clemson, South Carolina, Memorial Stadium, the faithful are on hand for the white versus the orange, the Clemson spring football game. Hello again, everybody. Along with Charles Arbuckle, I'm Dave Lamont. And Charles, the locals here always have high expectations. There's certainly no reason to not be excited about Clemson football this year, particularly coming off the win over LSU and coming into this season with an explosive offense.
Well, they can score at will, score fast, and they want to do more of that. They want to improve the offensive line, but the one guy they have that can really make this offense click is Taj Boyd. He has a great ability to get the ball down the field with his arm. 36 touchdowns last year. He makes some nice throws, not only to the tight end, the running backs, but also Sammy Watkins down the field. The key for this offense is that they lost DeAndre Hopkins, but he can run the football effectively and find Sammy Watkins down the 9-man position. This offense is not only going to be faster, much more tempo.
And you mentioned Sammy Watkins. As a freshman 2 seasons ago, people were talking about him as a Heisman candidate.
I thought he was going to come out after that. If he could, he would have. Outstanding ability, not only in the passing game, but return game as well. And he'll beat you on reverses. He is so versatile. We'll see that today.
This team might be in the top 10 in preseason. We're going to show you the orange and white spring battle on a gorgeous day as Taj Boyd leads and that's a special purple jersey so nobody tackles him. The orange and the white game is next. It is the tradition, the most exciting 25 seconds in sports, they call it here at Clemson, of rubbing Howard's Rock as the players run down the hill and get on the field. And there's head coach Dabo Swinney. Back-to-back 10-game winning seasons for the Tigers. Lots of enthusiasm from Dabo, of course, that's his nature, and lots of enthusiasm about this football team.
Yeah, it has to be, because when you look at all the things that they've been able to do the last couple of years, he has to be excited, but he knows there's more for them to do. And to win 11 games, to beat LSU in a bowl game, they have to be excited about where they ended.
And you have to be excited about this gorgeous weather, too, that we're going to have. Now, spring games, if you've never seen one of these before, they're decidedly different in many, many ways. You're not going to have special teams the way you're used to seeing them. The coach may decide to create a situation just to get a certain look, particularly on special teams. You're not going to have traditional kickoff returns. For example, like this.
Yeah.
Sammy Watkins is by himself. Now, I like his chances of returning this.
I do also, and I think the one thing you don't want to do is there's so many collisions when you have the return units on the field. They want to just give the guys an ability to kick the ball off.
And also they want to blow off that cannon, too. And a good kickoff, Sammy will go ahead and take the touchback, and that will be at the 25-yard line. All right, so here we go. We're not going to have kickoff returns, no punt returns, only a fair catch. They'll run the clock nonstop in the second half. The quarterbacks are going to be wearing purple jerseys. You can't hit them. You can't touch them. And a two-step rush only on field goals and extra points. And actually, I'm curious to see who the first quarterback is going to be. And it's not going to be Taj Boyd. We're going to get a look at Cole Stout, the junior from Dublin, Ohio. And that tells me we may not see Boyd at all today, as the first running play doesn't go very far.
So Cole is going to start
with the white offense,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and so, the thing that they got us with were the jerseys. Threw purple in the mix.
Yeah, that's right. Boyd is on. This is the orange and white game, so Boyd is on the orange sideline right now. A tentative start, and this is an interest for the run game, and this is an issue. We talked quite a bit in the open about the passing game with Boyd and with Watkins, and we have an injury on the field as well at 25-yard line.
I was going to say before this play happened, and I hope Kalen Davis, I think, is down Chester, South Carolina. Sometimes when you try to pull back in football, that tends to be when people get hurt. Mm-hmm. You know, it didn't look like they came off with a lot of intensity, and I hope it's, nothing serious.
Left leg being looked at. Well, you know, it's funny you say that because I kind of got the same impression that those first two plays were very basic run plays, and the defense swarmed underneath them and was able to completely stop the play. 67 and White is who we're looking for here.
He's pulling, guard coming around, and then you can see getting rolled up. And that's, you know, there's nothing he can do about that, and that's what happens. Those big guys inside, always trying to move those legs and keep moving.
Good hand from many people. I'm not sure what the final sentence is going to be, but Clemson's fourth 11-win season in school history. They've gone back-to-back with 10+, 11th in the final AP poll. They had a school record for wins in the ACC, and their offense was zany last year.
They go at a high tempo. They want to get faster. But the one thing they talked about this year is being more physical, especially in the run game.
So Davis limping off the field, not needing any extra help. So that's one bit of good news. And now they'll go with an empty backfield. Remember, no contact on the quarterback, but certainly contact everywhere else. And the Orange defense holds there, only 4 yards total offense. The catch made by Stanton Seckinger, a tight end sophomore from Isle of Palms, South Carolina.
And what you're going to see a lot of, too, is getting guys that'll play. You know, Steckinger played quite a bit last year, had four receptions. And the defense is going to come up. The one area that they want to improve on is making plays on the back end. They feel like their front on both of these teams are very good, but they really want to improve on the back end of their defense. Again, there will be no punt returns, so this is just going to be a fair catch, or they'll let the ball roll to a stop. And a heads over heels punt that's going to go out of bounds at around the 30-yard line. And now there's going to be some rule changes this year, and one in particular could have a dramatic impact on games. We're watching the ACC this year using an 8th official because there is so much concern about safety. The second rule and the third rule, Charles, are the ones that everyone's going to talk about, particularly the mandatory ejection for any players penalized for these fouls. Yeah, those are key because you can look at the fact that you can get ejected, but the replay official can overturn the objection, but he can't overturn the penalty. Right, the penalty will always stand, and it is going to be Kelly starting a quarterback, not Taj Boyd. So again, Boyd may get the game off. We'll tell you more about the story here as taking off. Now remember, you can't really hit the quarterback. So when Chad Kelly, the nephew of former University of Miami great Jim Kelly, is down at the 35-yard line. We have a 9th official on the field. Yes, Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney, because you're going to see Spencer Shuey come up and you thud. Usually this is form. He knows I can't really hit him. I can just touch him. Kelly makes a nice little move. Dabo Swinney says, no, my man, you got to come back here. Yeah, that's really taking advantage of the no hitting the quarterback. Kelly completes his first throw out to the 41-42-yard line. Catch made by Ogundico, or excuse me, not Ogundico, but Martavius Bryant, 6'5", 200-pound junior from Calhoun Falls, South Carolina. There's Dabo. Yes, coaches run. By the this is one time a coach can overrule an official on the field. Hey, he's the only coach on the field, so he's the 9th official, as far as I'm concerned. This will be the one time, and one time only. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about the Clemson rushing attack. This is one area of their offense where they really don't have any experience returning. Well, when you lose a guy like Andre Ellington, I know D.J. Howard, Darrell Smith, the fullback, you have Rod McDowell, Zach Brooks. Not a good player, so they're thinking they're going to have to go by committee because this offense is predicated on power running game and opening it up when they have to, but they really want to run the football effectively. We know they can throw. Sharon Peaks with the grab there, junior from Moore, South Carolina. First down for the Orange offense. It's orange versus white, and the quarterbacks in purple mean you can't hit them. The other thing, Dave, you mentioned the running game. They really want to be able to run effectively downhill, and they've done a lot of things in the spring to really work on that. Just like that, you want to see guys hit the hole. And D.J. Howard, they think, has that ability. You see the numbers on Clemson's offense last season. That red zone scoring, by the way, does include field goals. It isn't all touchdowns. If you get 95% touchdowns in the red zone, you're a national champion. But that was a nice-looking run there, a hole that popped open. Part of the running game is predicated on them being able to block effectively. Now, that's one of those plays that you get off the running game. You fake inside to DJ Howard, and then you just roll out, find your receiver.
And Clemson's had some outstanding tight ends come through this place the last several years, too.
Dwayne Allen, Brandon Ford, they've had guys that can really make plays at the tight end position. Jordan Leggett, we may look for him, number 16. They expect big things out of the freshman out of Florida.
Because everybody goes to Florida for talent these days, it seems.
Or Texas.
Yep. Kelly going to go for it all right here. And overthrew.
Dave, you bring up a great point. One area Tom Rugenbill and I talk about this a lot. The Carolinas, how well they have become. And South Carolina in particular has always had talent. But even North Carolina now, you can see a lot of this team, Kelly there with a little bit too strong of a throw. Martavius Bryant is a big play guy. They want to get him down the field. Averaged 30.5 yards a catch last year.
And they go back to that tight end, bumped out of bounds at around the 27-yard line, but it'll be another first down for the Orange team.
He went right to the sideline. He grabbed his knee.
Man, that is the second player with an injury in this game. And we don't have news yet on the first injury to Kalon Davis, and I didn't get a good look live as to what could have happened.
Sam Cooper just got hit from behind and went down funny. Came down awkwardly.
Kelly will keep the football as they go right back to playing, and we'll try to keep an eye on Cooper as they treat him.
The one thing you don't want as a coach. You'll take anything, but the one thing you cannot have and you don't want to have are injuries in spring games.
Yeah, you don't want to be the trainer to head up to the head coach in April and tell you you've lost somebody for the season. Kelly, nice footwork there. That pass caught and down right at the mark.
Kelly and Cole Stout are in a real big battle for that second position behind Taj Boyd. And, you know, Boyd goes out and works with George Whitfield, and the one thing they work on is footwork and get moving around in the pocket. Kelly went out with them also this past spring, and they're going to do that again after spring ball. They really want to get some work. Went to the wrong side that time, but nice throw.
And here's your first touchdown of the game. So Kelly with the read and the catch made by Pete for the TD.
This is a staple of this offense where you fake the ball, but it was faked to the wrong side. That still holds those linebackers and the middle of the field. Kelly with a nice throw. He fakes. Running back either goes the wrong way. He fakes the wrong way, but Sharon Peak on the backside. When he turns around, he's able to just, Kelly can see it, knows no one is in the middle of that field right there. He's able to throw it right between Jadar Johnson and Travis Blanks. Nice throw. Nice drive by Kelly on that particular drive right there.
PAT is up and good, and that's an area where the Tigers don't have a lot to worry about in their kicking game. With Catanzaro back, he'll be certainly one of the best kickers in the nation this year, having gone 18 of 19, including the game winner in that Chick-fil-A Bowl over LSU.
There's a lot of talk about, you know, I think they lost to South Carolina, and then I think that game helped them get prepared for LSU. They had a long prep time, and also what happened to them the year before when they had to play, and they didn't play well at all against West Virginia. To win that ball game at the end,
that was tough to watch. Well, we talk about this being one of the finest home fields in college football. It's actually, to me, one of these places that's road trip worthy. If you're one of those kinds of fans who likes to go to great places to watch a game, I do highly recommend being here. And this place is already half full. This is a game it's a scrimmage, but they are here to see root on their Tigers. You see what they do in attendance here. And of course, this 81,247 is the capacity. This isn't a Michigan or a Tennessee where you can draw 100K, and they love their Tigers. I wanted to add on to something you said, Charles, about the recruiting in South Carolina. The other thing that's going on, and particularly, and since we're here, what would be called that school down south.
Who we call last year,
right? We were at the South Carolina game. Is you notice those guys are staying in state now.
Oh, yes.
What the ball coach has done and what Dabo is starting to do now, too, is keep the star players in South Carolina.
You know, Howard Schnellenberger used to talk about building a fence around Dade County, Broward County,
called it the state of Miami. Yes,
I
sir.
think they're doing that in the state of South Carolina. You see the big name guys not leaving. A guy like Shaq Lawson, who's here, defensive end, young guy. We're starting to see more and more of these players want to stay here at home. Jadeveon Clowney down the street. They want to stay here in South Carolina and play. And these guys are grown up playing against each other. Then they get the chance to play each other once a year and fight and battle, even though they're in different conferences. So I think that's the one good thing about Clemson and South Carolina, that big rival.
It's a nice tackle in the open field there by Darius Robinson. It's 2nd down and 10. Stout looking long, unloads, and overthrows, and that's hard to do. When you overthrow Sammy Watkins, you got to work at it.
Well, and Sammy looked like he was telling him, keep throwing it further, because he really has another gear. And Cole puts it up high, a go-get-it ball, a zenith ball, an apex ball, go at the highest point.
Well, he didn't overthrow him by much.
Not
Actually,
much.
That was pretty close. Sammy got a hand on that. It's 3rd and 10.
Yeah, Gary Peters, 1 interception on the year last year. Good coverage there.
And right at the 35, and it's should be ruled incomplete.
Great defense on that play right there.
Well, this orange defense has recorded 2 3-and-outs in the open part. Clemson 10-win seasons. 81, of course, was the big year here under Danny Ford, who's still in the area, still a legend in this part of town. 13-0. Danny Ford had some incredible seasons here, but look at that gap between 1990 and 2011. Surprisingly big gap without those 10-win seasons.
It's interesting. I can remember when Dabo Swinney took this job, I had a chance to call a few of his games, and he talked about the tradition and the history and wanting to get that back. Get all those people that won those championships and won ACC championships. He wanted to have the same thing for his guys here, and you're starting to see it. I can remember sitting down with him, and his enthusiasm made me almost want to suit up. I was only good for maybe one play, if that. But what I will say is,
and you want them to throw you the ball.
Oh yeah. I don't want to go out there and just block. I will block now. The thing that I like about him though is he's got guys believing in that vision, and they've had players that come along like a Sammy Watkins and a Taj Boyd that have believed in the vision, and they're really putting it to fruition now.
Well, someone's going to have to explain to me how all of the Florida schools didn't get Sammy Watkins. He's out of Fort Myers on the west coast of Florida. That's an excellent run. This is Howard, and this is a player, and he had the ball knocked out at the very end, and he'll certainly hear about that when they review the video of this game. But that's a great run, almost 20 yards. Actually, it is 20 yards from 40 to 40.
Good blocking here on the right side of that line. You can see it being caved down. And DJ Howard, they're using Darrell Smith as a tight end fullback. And DJ Howard kicking those feet, keeping them moving. Sharon Peak out front blocking well. He wants to win the starting position. If he keeps doing that, that gives him a good chance to do it.
Kelly, a little sling there, and that's another one of those issues where, and they're going to rule a sack.
Kelly was late on that play. Yeah, I think they are. He had DJ Howard on the outside and didn't go to him.
Again, official Swinney is out there, and he may say, yep, that's a sack, and that's exactly what's going to happen. So it's an 8-yard loss. You see DJ Howard last year. Of course, you had an Andre Ellington. You weren't going to get very many opportunities to carry the football.
And they also have 2 young running backs that are freshmen that will come in and fall camp that they're really excited about. So they think they have quite a bit at that position.
And Kelly forced to take off. Now someone's got to grab him. Oh, that really isn't quite how that was supposed to work, but he's okay.
Well, Travis Blanks, if you watch him on film, he loves to come up and hit you. He's an old offside linebacker in the 5th DB, much of last year, and they'll use him. He says, okay, Spencer didn't do this, but I'm going to show you.
Kelly forced to take off. Now someo's got to grab him.
Yeah, I'm going to show you, Chad. Get down or come run to me and let me bear hug you.
And now Kelly's hurt. You know, it's funny. He limped a little bit coming out of there. I thought he was okay at first. He popped up very quickly. And he got about 4 or 5 yards down the field and started to limp. And then all of a sudden, right before we thought another play was going to be called, this is the 3rd time that Clemson has had a player. There you go, right there.
I think he hurt himself even before Blanks got to him. That's what made Blanks hit him.
Yeah, it's the right leg, and you could see.
He tried to make a move.
Now, I have to tell you, we do not have a line directly to the Clemson folks. If any of them are listening, we would love to get injury information from their folks to find out about the 3. This is the 3rd injury so far. We saw the tight end Cooper get hurt. Kelly thankfully getting up, but he might need a little help. And is that Boyd out there helping him?
Remember the conversation with Coach Swinney. He was saying we only have 3 guys on scholarship: Cole Stout, Taj Boyd, and Chad Kelly. And a couple of walk-on guys that are available.
And now coming out to play quarterback will be Donnie McElwain. That's about the only time we're going to see Taj Boyd on the field today. And if there was ever any thought of him going out to play, what just happened there, and that's already what's happened. We haven't played 6. We just now hit 6 minutes expired in the first quarter. And this isn't an issue where on a warm day we've got guys who are cramping. First down there by Howard, rather by Clemson on the offense. That's 32, C.J. Davidson. It's just unfortunate.
You bring up a great point. The one thing with football, it's hard to kind of practice football like you do basketball. You can go out and shoot by yourself. You can go do different things. Baseball, you can do that. But football, you have to practice this way. And the one thing you are concerned about is getting an injury.
And the onus of almost the pressures on the defense. You know, you're trained to turn loose. Your coaches are going to want you, but you're popping your own teammates here, and you got to be very careful about how you hit. But in the case of Kelly, the replay clearly showed that it wasn't a contact. It looked like that his knee had gone a little funny, and the touch is made there at the 25-yard line. So,
and all the defenders, to your point, are coming up high. They're not coming down low. They're coming, in the torso area. They're not trying to hurt their own guys. They want to make sure they secure the tackle. But football is one of those sports. It's a physical game.
Now, you're never really going to be able to legislate that out, even though there's so much concern about injury, particularly now head injuries, and understandably. There's just moments in football as that pass caught, dropped. He had it in his hands there at the end zone. That was Matt Porter, a redshirt junior wide receiver who had his hands on it and couldn't hang on. But it's almost unavoidable.
Wasn't a great throw, but the defense was so far sucked in. Dante Stewart, you can see him coming up, and Porter has a chance. Actually, you know what he does, too? He tries to jump forward instead of just running under it and securing the catch. That would have been the Orange second touchdown today.
Here's Bradley Pinion, who is the punter for this team, but he's the kicker for the Orange team. Catanzaro is on the white squad, and they have had a tough time today getting their offense going. That's a nice-looking field goal. That's not bad at all. 42 yards from your punter.
Always good when he can come in and help secure you.
Well, that was a great kick by the young man, Bradley Pinion, for the Orange team. They've been dominating, but so far the high stories for the Clemson spring game have been injuries. Well, it's how they celebrate some of their big wins. You don't just take a patch of turf, you build a tombstone into a little graveyard they have just outside their football offices there. Some of the top 10 wins they've had are commemorated in that unique and possibly spooky fashion.
I love tradition. I mean, every school you visit has something.
And this will be another touchback. The star of the spring game here might be Bradley Pinion, the punter who's just been killing the ball off the tee and in the field goal. So now see Stout back to lead this white offense, which so far, as you can see by the numbers, has had 2 3 and outs. They have not been able to get going.
And if you hear the name Stout, most of the people that are familiar with Clemson football know he's the son of Cliff Stout, who played in the NFL from 77 to 89. Love guys that grew up with dads that are quarterbacks or players that have. What kind of chalk talk did you have? How did he work with them on certain things?
Worked well for Andrew Luck, that's for sure. Good solid contact right around the 25-yard line. The Orange defense has been spot on so far.
Archie Manning should be in the Hall of Fame of daddies that have guys that play, right?
You're absolutely right about that.
But clearly, Cole Stout is in a position. His brother, Zach, is a quarterback at Ole Miss, so they've got 2 quarterbacks in the family besides Dad. He's really in the battle, like I said, for that second position.
Under a little pressure, throws on the run, and a nice catch made by a coach, but not by the player, so it's going to be 3rd and 10, trying to get it to Watkins.
When you watch Cole Stout on film, he really does a good job of getting the ball out. But right here, Sammy runs a nice route. Good break. Gary Peters, this is good for Gary Peters. He's really covering Sammy Watkins well. Nice breakup. Cole is working on getting that ball out quicker. And Taj Boyd does a very good job. Doesn't hurt playing behind him.
Stout hits the middle of the field, and it's right in front of the very close to the mark, but I don't think they got the first down.
You know, one thing is, I would imagine that Cole was thinking Taj is going to leave and go. And then he doesn't leave. He has to stay and sit behind him another year, but good experience. And here they're going to go for it on 4th and 1. Nice throw on that last play, getting it out quickly.
He's going to have to hurry here because they do have a play clock. Now it's, of course, Dabo could be running down as well. I don't think you're going to see it delay game penalties. Will they hand it off? No. Create a lot of confusion. And let's see where the officials spot it. The orange team believes they held, and if you go by the head linesman coming in and by Taj Boyd, the orange did hold. And they did. Wow, this orange defense has played great.
Well, the defensive line is a key for these guys. And Grady Jarrett, DJ Reader, all those guys up front. Look, they're pushing people back. You can see Shaq Lawson, 90, the young freshman I was talking about, pushing people in the back. They really had they had much penetration. It was more orange in the offensive backfield. That's why they didn't get that first down.
McElwain remains at quarterback. We have not got an update on the injury to Chad Kelly and his right leg. Well, that's something with Clemson you don't think about, as the catch is made right on cue into the end zone. And Martavius Bryant, the big play hitter that you talked about, makes the catch, and the Orange leads 16-0.
They wanted him to be more committed. They wanted him to go to class and do all the things that he had to do. And if you're a 6'5" receiver who has speed, all you have to do is say, quarterback, please, Mr. Quarterback, throw it up high, and I'll go get it for you and score for you. That's what you do.
Well, here's the thing.
Dante Stewart was covering, turned around, but he looked like a little guy trying to go around a big guy.
Well, Bryant, 6'5", 200, and Dante Stewart, 5'8", 185. So I'm sure Stewart's a fine player, but he's just physically cannot keep up. What I was going to say is, now, if Bryant stays committed, and don't forget, he didn't go to the bowl game. He stayed home. Dabo Swinney said, you're not going.
Yep.
You haven't earned this trip. So if he stays committed and plays like we're seeing, and you team him up with Watkins.
Yeah. And then you have DeAndre Hopkins, who we know was a very, very good player. But they have weapons, and that's the one thing with Taj Boyd. Even though not going to the league, knowing that I can throw it to Sandy. I've got Martavius, who, if he's committed, one of the best players. Adam Humphries, who had 41 receptions. Teron Peake, 25. A good tight end position play, even though Brandon Ford is no longer there. You look at that right there, and they all have some experience and played some.
And Bryant's got 2 catches and a touchdown, 41 yards so far.
The one thing, though, that I like to see is you see guys have great spring games, and then you want to see them continue that over the next year. Martavius Bryant had 10 receptions last year. With that body and that ability, he should have had more. Now let's see if he can do that now with DeAndre Hopkins going, Sammy Watkins moving to the 9-man position.
And what is the 9-man position?
That's the guy that they use in this offense to really highlight. The thing with Sammy Watkins is an ability to move around. He is a featured guy in this offense.
Yeah, you mentioned DeAndre Hopkins. He was the star of the Chick-fil-A Bowl. 13 catches, 191 yards. He had 82 catches and over 1,400 yards when it was all said and done.
And they use him in a lot of different ways to get the ball to him, and that's what they'll do with Sammy Watkins. The one thing I know they'll use with Sammy Watkins is they put him in motion a lot. They'll use him on reverses. They'll use him in different things. So he just takes over that 9-man position, but they're still going to let Sammy Watkins do different things and be multiple in this offense.
I would think you look at him as a jet sweep guy.
Yeah.
In any way possible, he gets a lot of touches on the slant, and they're not knocked away. They still don't have the first down. Uh-oh, here comes the flag.
The first one of the game?
Yes, it is the first one of the game, and this will be a pass interference. Remember, the ACC and other using 8 officials here.
Pass interference. Defense, number 41. Ball will be placed in the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
T.J. Burrell. And you can see TJ 41 is there. He's there before the football gets there.
Yeah, we didn't say it was a bad call.
No.
We just mentioned that. Now, among the 9 ACC spring games, by the way, they're all on the ESPN family of networks. This is a bit of an experiment authorized by the NCAA to try to figure out if this is a good idea to have increased officiating coverage because the game has gotten so fast. And with the offenses that are being run faster and faster, and every coach you talk to, we want to go faster. We all want to go faster. Well, so they're trying an experiment to see if this is going to work. And additionally, although I don't think we have it today, they're going to have wireless communication available among the officials so they can chat with a sloppy exchange there. And looks like the white team holds the ball.
He never got it cleanly. Cole Stout was trying to get the ball and look like he never got it off to his right. He couldn't quite put it away. And you also have a running back coming in front of him, which makes it a little bit disruptive as well.
So after a little bit of success with the penalty, the first down for this white team offense, it's suddenly 3rd and 9, and that should be a first down. And it is, the 49-yard line. We have not seen the white team get into orange team territory yet either in this first quarter.
They're slowly approaching. Nice throw by Cole Stout and a good catch by Sammy Watkins.
Now here's a question, Charles, about philosophy. Now we kind of know what we're getting with Clemson with the offense and what they have. How much do you unveil in your spring game now, particularly with spring games? And there's a tremendous clean hit, loss on the play. What a stick by the safety, Robert Smith.
You answered your own question with that play right there. The defense, they know the offensive is going to play. You're going to see a wide receiver screen. Robert Smith doesn't bite on the guy working outside. He knows I'm coming right up and I know where the ball is going. You're going to see some of that because the defense knows. They've watched these guys for 15, 16 practices and they understand.
That's a nice throw by Stout.
But they can still get exposed however the defense is. If you have cover 2, a high safety in the corner that's flat, he lets Sammy Watkins go. That was a nice throw by Cole Stout, sticking it in there. He knows that I have a safety up high and I have a guy outside that's going to release Sammy Watkins. If I put it right in this area, boom, that's a completion.
Yeah, that was a pretty throw, and that's the first time that the white team has made it into orange territory, and now they're inside the 15-yard line. That's a nice carry by Zach Brooks, the sophomore from Jonesboro, Arkansas.
They say he has a lot of speed. Yep. He's kind of special, another gear. And he showed you right there, one of the top running backs in the state of Arkansas when he was coming out.
Well, he's Jonesboro's Arkansas State's backyard. So he spurned any interest they may have had. This time he gets nowhere and wrestled almost to the ground by Corey Crawford. Defensive end from Columbus, Georgia.
You mentioned it earlier, too. You don't want to really show a whole lot. You want to play and see how guys do, whether it's vanilla or not, to see if they're physical enough, to see if they can execute, even if the defense knows what they're doing. Just like that running play earlier. They had a big throw down to Sammy Watkins, and they hit him up the middle because the defense now is kind of worried about things on the outside.
Out looking for the end zone, and contact made. So that counts as a sack for the defense and a loss back to the 22-yard line.
That's number 15, Brady Jarrett.
Here's the guy, Brady Jarrett, who was the MVP of the Clemson defense last year. He was very disruptive in the middle. You know, we asked Coach Swinney about his defensive front. He said, hey, all of those guys are good. We're happy to have them back. And big number 50 or DJ Reader. The thing that impressed me, the defensive tackles, the number of tackles that they have. Usually those guys don't have 50, 53, 48 tackles in a year. They're usually the run stuffers, clogging up the middle. They've done a good job of getting tackles.
So we're going to get our first look, I think, at the white field goal team, and that means we will see Catanzaro.
On for the field goal will be number 39,
The walk-off has become popular, and he has 2 in his career. None bigger than the one against LSU.
Well, take a look at what he's done.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's an A in school, right?
And you know what? Yeah.
A+ off. Yeah.
Well, you with UCLA, that's like, that gets you a laureate degree there.
The bell curve, man.
No, 18 and 19. Mike, I don't think that's good. He missed it. I was going to say he probably remembers the one miss more than the 18 hits. Yeah, but you know what? Binion's on the other sideline going, hey, Coach, I just want to let you know that I made my field goal. So, now Catanzaro's certainly one of the best in the country, and I don't think that's much of an area of concern for the Tigers. We haven't had a chance yet, Charles, to talk about Clemson and defense. Yeah. And a lot of people don't think of defense when they think of Clemson. And they kind of had a Jekyll and Hyde defensive year last year.
They used to in the past. That's changed since Chad Morris has come in and they've struggled with Kevin Steele. Now Brent Venables has come in and done a very good job of improving the defense his first year. This is the second year these guys will be under his defense and how he calls defensively. You can see there, the front is where they are really solid. But one area that they struggled has been on the back end, and they have some guys that have graduated, and they want them to improve on the back end of the second.
Spencer Shuey is their leading returning tackler from last year. Clemson actually did a very good job at sacking the quarterback, and we've already seen some pressure here, and a good job by the White defense on this running play. Very, very little gain, only out to 29. There was a flag there.
If you think about Clemson, they've always had some guys at the defensive end position. Quan Bowers, Gaines Adams. I mean, you know, they've had guys up front that can really get after it. I mean, even going back to a buddy of mine, Michael Dean Perry, defensive tackle guy who they've had.
Illegal substitution charged against the defense. The player didn't get off the field in time before the ball was snapped. 5 yards from the previous spot. Still second down.
But you bring up a great point. When you have Oklahoma and what they've been able to do in the past, bring that kind of mindset here with the sped up offense. Venables knows how to coach in that because
a correction that'll be a first down.
He's coached with an offense of a spread philosophy, and that's good because sometimes coaches can come and it's hard for them to be in a tempo where it's 4-4-4-4 go, 4-4-4-4 go all the time. He understands that, so that's a good thing for the Clemson defenders to even understand.
McElwee on the run, and it's going to be incomplete. That's an example as a flag is back at the 28-yard line. The kind of play that officials are going to be looking for. The players pulled up, but that looked like one of those big collisions that full speed in a regular season game would have happened.
Holding offense, number 57, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
And Martin Jenkins, who was coming up, number 14, is working the rust off. He was injury redshirted last year, but played in 25 games over the 2010-2011 season, had some starts. You can see the hold there. I hate that for the offensive linemen. They only get shown on TV when they have a penalty.
That's going to bounce incomplete. 2nd and 10 coming up. Those passes the defense has begun to anticipate.
Well, they know this offense. You know, the thing with this offense is that Chad Morris will tell you, it's not overly complicated. But what they do is they put you in positions to stretch you not only vertically but horizontally. And you have to cover everything. And that's, I think, how they get you.
Gotta get rid of it if they touch him, and they did. And it takes away an interception.
Who was the guy that he said, we need to make sure?
Vic Beasley.
What do you call him, the science project?
Yes, and that can be a good and a bad thing if you're a coach.
Now, Vic Beasley has a motor, and he's gained weight. And the one thing, he had 3 sacks last year versus North Carolina State, Mike Glennon. And Dabo Swinney said he has been so disruptive. It sounded like, just like last year, we talked about Jadeveon Clowney. He said we've had to kind of tell him to throttle it back in practice. He's really just been a disruptive force this year.
So 3rd and unbelievably long, and now going to be 4th and unbelievably long for the Orange offense. For the first time, they have struggled in this opening quarter of the Clemson spring game on just a gorgeous day. And by the way, this is a very well-attended game.
Yes.
Opposite where we are stationed, I don't see very many empty seats. The end zone, the shade, was filled up about an hour before kick.
Those are the smart fans.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they came in and said, look, we're going to position ourselves. We're going to get box out, and we're going to get in the shade. We're going to make sure that we position ourselves in the right place. And then everybody else has to come in and filter in. They're out there kind of hanging out, drinking a soda and having some food. We're going to get into the cool spot.
Well, this punt looked like it was shot out of the cannon they used here to celebrate touchdowns. That thing turned right at the 23-yard line. I'm telling you right now, the MVP of the spring game is that guy right there.
Come on, man. You can't give it to a kicker.
I did it once before during a game. I did.
Come on, Dave.
I can't remember what game it was, but I was in charge of naming the player of the game, and I gave it to the punter.
He's having a heck of a game. I'm not lying to you.
57 yards on that one. You see what he did last year, just 9 punts. I would say if he's in competition, he's done quite a bit to sew down his position.
He's done a nice job, not only in the kickoff game, but field goals and punting, all phases of the kicking game.
Final minute of the opening quarter. It's been a bit of good and bad. Here's some of the versatility on offense. But again, as Charles has pointed out quite accurately, no gain on the play. The defense is pretty hip to these plays. You're going to have to go a long way to fool a Tavares Barnes or a Marcus Bullard who were in there on the stop.
Yeah, because they've seen it all spring, and they also now understand their defense better. And the one thing they gave up were a lot of big plays last year. We haven't seen as many in this spring game as probably because this defense has really been the consistent one all spring. They've really made it rough for the offense.
A gain out to about the 32-yard line. Again, if you're just tuning in and wondering, wait a minute, what's the deal with the purple shirt and why didn't anybody hit him? Quarterbacks are off limit. Cole Stout, you can touch him, and it's basically touch football for the quarterbacks. And even if you touch him when he's going back to pass, that's fine. That's a sack for the defense.
And unfortunately, Chad Kelly went down early, and wasn't hit, just an open field trying to make a move. He's had some guys go down. Unfortunately, hopefully they're all fine and healthy.
That is the end of the first quarter.
And the Orange dominating this first half, particularly with some strong defense. And, of course, the player of the game, the punter, Bradley Pinion. Above the top of the hill is Howard's Rock, or you can slide down the hill and have a good time. And you know what? If you're a youngster about 7, 8, 9 years old, football only gets you so far. Sliding down the hill will take all day. Stout on the run. He'll try to get out of bounds. And he missed the first down by much, but it appears he did.
These young Clemson fans are happy.
Also, this is another, and this is certainly not the only place. It's an interesting day to bring your recruits by. And I will tell you this, if you're Dabo Swinney, who's probably a very good recruiter, you can tell your players on, look at this crowd. This is practice, basically. We're talking about practice, not a game, practice.
Not a game,
You've got this kind of crowd here. Just imagine what this play. And again, I'm not going to overdo it, but a full house here is really something to behold.
And I think very few places in the country will do what Alabama does. Get 90-something thousand.
Because that is a cathedral.
But when you look at it, we were at South Carolina last year, now Clemson this year. It's impressive to see the number of people there in attendance.
Wide open here down the field, and the pass hung up just a little bit for Watkins. He had a couple of steps on 2 defenders, had to wait for that ball, and it's incomplete.
And that's where he'll tell Cole, throw it out there, let it go. And Cole, I think, holds back just a little bit, leaves it up a little bit too long. And Gary Peters on the coverage again. Now, Sammy should have had that.
He
should have had that. I wanted to see the replay first because it looked like one of those he should have had. But Gary Peters is there a little bit too late. Sammy should have had that one, and he knows it.
Running the ball has been a tough thing for the white team to crack, but they get 11, 12 yards on that carry and a first down. And a nice-looking carry there by Roderick McDowell, the senior from Sumter South.
Leading returning rusher for the Tigers last year. Coming back this year, Andre Ellington was their star guy. Rod McDowell wants to win this job. He's shown some good flashes today.
3 carries, 9 yards for McDowell. This is a good-looking play here that's going to get into Orange territory. Catch made there by Hopper. Jamon Hopper.
Yeah, but the good thing about this, Dave, was the block by Adam Humphries. There's 3 defenders out there. He takes the one at the pressure point, the guy that can come and make the tackle, gets rid of him, and then they're able to run the football down the field. Good block by Humphries.
Pressure from the edge this time. Good job by Stout to avoid it. Watkins is open. Touchdown for the white team.
Sammy says, I might drop one, but I'm not going to drop this second one. And you're right, good move by Stout. Cole was moving in the pocket, looking down the field the whole time. And you know if you have number 2 behind the defense, This is what he usually does. See, the pressure comes. You see the pressure there. Not able to touch him, which would have had him down. And Sammy's just able to get behind the defense. You can't have
get
that.
behind a lot.
Yeah.
Here's when he is available for the NFL draft, whenever that is. That's going to be drool-worthy for a lot of NFL scouts. If he can stay healthy, that's what killed him last year. And although Clemson had such a spectacular season, this is obviously Boyd, and we're not going to see Boyd on the field today, but this is your guy right here that can absolutely destroy a defense.
After this kick, we'll talk about it. 139 receptions already. 15 touchdowns in the receiving game alone. Now, and this is just after 2 years. Not even 2 full years.
Right.
They said 7 games. He missed the whole LSU game. So, I mean, when I look at these numbers, I can remember watching them against Florida State. I was like, okay.
I was at that game. The one here? I was here.
Yeah.
I was with Tim Brown, and we and I were joking about this morning. I thought Tim Brown was going to run down the field and give him his Heisman Trophy.
He had a man
like Tim packed it with him and said, "Here, son, you deserve this more than I do."
And Tim was
hard on receivers, by the way. He is very hard on receivers.
But you know what was so impressive about him in that game? And even when I watch him now, his routes. The routes at that age to run, and don't panic in the route. I mean, when you're running a slant and go or a sluggo, you get to it, let the quarterback fake, and then take off. He was doing things that I was like, wow.
Yeah, it was really something to see, and it was fun to be here because that was a Star is Born moment game, and you could say to yourself, okay, you know what? The college football world now is going to find out about this guy. And we're going to spend, all of our announcers and everybody who watches college football is going to know the name Sammy Watkins. And they still do. And now I just hope, and obviously the Tigers fans hopes, that he can stay healthy.
Yeah. And I think he even said that this year is going to be a different year for him.
And the ball's placed in the 35 because it wasn't caught in the end zone.
And you can see here, the last year at Florida State, that was a loss for him. The other loss, South Carolina, but I really think that South Carolina game, even though the fans here didn't like it, it prepared them for LSU in the bowl game.
Where their defense played spectacularly well.
Yes.
And that's what, when we talk, and again, we focus so much with the school on their offense and the skill players they have, but their defense in that game was dominant.
And they had 101 snaps, I think, offensively. But their defense held up solidly against a tough downhill running game of LSU. And I think that's what, when you look at Clemson, we can talk about their offense, but their defense has to play well this year.
Completion made at around the 46-yard line for the Orange team, and it's a lot of extra effort that time by Sharon Peak to pick up another yard or two before he's brought down.
And the thing with the defense is not giving up big plays. They would have some spectacular plays on defense and then have a lull and then give up really big plays. That's the one thing, like right here. This is a nice secure tackle. Then you have everybody converging, making sure that he's down.
Running play, good use of your offensive line that time out to the 45 into white team territory. And that's C.J. Davidson, the sophomore from right here in Clemson.
They say they do a lot with the PAW drill, PAW, which was an Oklahoma drill. You just line up. And now they go to a W drill, which they found from Arizona State. And we'll talk about it after this play.
Ooh, head over heels that time. Clean hit. And hanging on to it, there's Jordan Leggett. There's the young man that we asked, hey, is there somebody that you're going to take the reps off for this game? And Dabo Swinney thought about it for a moment and said, you know what? Look for Jordan Leggett.
Good fake. It pulls the defense over. And Leggett able to get hit, pop right back up, 6'6", 235. They think he's got a lot of potential in this offense.
Going for it all right here, and receiver, I may have lost it to the sun. Pass just a little bit overthrown.
Martin Jenkins held him up. He got grabbed by Jenkins on that wheel route. They were trying to get him in a wheel route situation. They had a bunch formation.
That's Nick Schussler, who's the quarterback now, who had been on the white team roster.
Holding number 14 for the defense. Since the ball crossed the line of scrimmage, 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And with Chad Kelly being injured in the first quarter and Taj Boyd getting the day off, Donnie McLevine's not going to quarterback the entire game, so Nick Schussler will get an opportunity. Redshirt freshman from Grayson, Georgia. Caught it at the 30, and again, that play is just. I think the defense is holding back on a pick six. I really do.
And getting back to the W drill, so what they did is they went to Arizona State, and what they do is now it's the Oklahoma drill, I call on steroids, because you have the first level, which is the offensive line, then you have the linebackers going against the tight end or second level, and then you have the defensive backs and the wide receivers. And you work your way down the field to make sure everybody's getting into the physicality of blocking and holding those blocks.
Redshirt freshman is going to take off, and that's going to be the end of that. He'll get it out to the 25-yard line.
B.J. Goodson, mainly a special teams guy last year. What you have is your quarterback sees, I don't really have anything. I have pressure coming. Let me get out of here and get some positive momentum and positive yards.
Is that perhaps an instance of giving up the play a little quickly?
He might have.
Little contact there, and he floats it into traffic. And again, all he has to be ruled is just being touched to have a sack. And he was able to get rid of it, so it'll be 4th down and 7.
Well, this is game speed for him because think about it, he redshirted all last year. And you lose some of that momentum, and now you're playing in a live game.
He was probably a scout guy last season.
Yeah, I mean, you're on the scout team, you got some time in scrimmages, but now you're getting a chance in the big show to really show what you can do.
Well, here's the man of the day so far, without question, Bradley Pinion. And he let me down.
Wow. You're not going to give him the award?
He took that one into the pines. Yeah. So that's going to be incomplete. Not incomplete, but just missed. And it'll be 1st down and 10 for the white team.
From the left-handed position that I hit in my golf game, that's about where I go every time.
Yeah, that one was not on target. He had nailed it. Remember, he's the punter.
Yeah.
He had nailed a 42-yard field goal earlier and has a 57-yard punt to his credit as well. So his player of the game status now up in the air.
You got him on the bubble.
Yeah. So Cole Stout staying in there as the white team quarterback. And again, how do you feel about Boyd not playing at all today?
With what's taken place, I think it's a good decision. I mean, here's how I look at it. He has shown for 2 years what he could do. And after that LSU game, they can say what they want. He took a beating in that game. They said it took him about 2 weeks to come back from that. Whether it was running the football, whether it was giving up sacks and getting hit. He's shown what he can do for the last 2+3 years he's been here. I don't think it's necessary for him to have to play today in a dress rehearsal where some young guys need to see this speed and they need to be into it.
Cole Stout is the front runner for the backup quarterback position. Dabo Swinney heaped a lot of praise on him, on Stout, when we had a chance to talk to Dabo earlier in the week. Says he's very, very comfortable with how far Stout has come in the last season.
Yeah, he said he's really improved and gotten better. And he said, even though he's behind Taj Boyd, it still makes him work, and he wants to, just keep improving. And he pushes Taj in the right way, and they really communicate well about things when he comes off the field.
And that pass looked like it might have been deflected, and is it a pick for the white team?
That's a catch by Sammy Watkins.
No, what a catch by Watkins. I thought the white team had lost possession, and Watkins comes away with it.
Defensive front, DJ Reader got a hand on it, then Tony Stewart might have touched it right there, and then Sammy Watkins. Wow. That looks like a shortstop making a play.
That was fabulous, and just an idea of the talent of Sammy Watkins, because there are a lot of receivers, Charles, in football who can run.
Yeah.
They can look great on patterns. They can look great, period, and they can't catch.
And he does a good job away from his body, whether it's high, any radius of the catching window, up high, on the side, down low. But I think he has strong hands, because I've seen him sometimes get grabbed by defenders, and he's still able to just pluck the ball out of the air.
A lot of movement on the offense here. Stout has a man underthrew him, incomplete.
And this is the old days, but what we used to do is put those hands in rice, and put your hands and dig down in rice to get your hands stronger. I don't know what the young guys do. They have all these technologies now.
These brown rice, they're very healthy now.
But it made your hands much stronger. And the jugs machine, just going to the jugs and taking it at, 15, then 20. Get your head out of the way so it doesn't pop you in the eyes.
Ooh, there's Watkins there. Forget it. Wow.
And just like that, the white says, we're here now, guys. We're here.
It was a 17-0 start for the orange, but the white has gone to Watkins for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, Cole Stout knows, okay, slant route, get it out quick. Defender misses. That linebacker has no chance. And Sammy Watkins, the guy we were talking about with the great ability to yards after catch. He was only in 3rd year.
Yeah, I was going to say, that Maserati was not turned on loose there. No, we're talking about a world-class athlete right there in Sammy Watkins. PAT is good, and the white team's made a game of it here with 9:38 to go in the 2nd quarter. One of the most spectacular players in college football, Sammy Watkins, putting on a show. Had the advantage early, but the white team has gone to Sammy Watkins for a couple of touchdown passes from Cole Stout, who is slated to be the backup to Taj Boyd this season. And we've got a nice little game for Dabo Swinney and his coaching staff to review in the video room. Of course, coaches are hardly ever satisfied when they take a look at the video, so they'll find plenty of faults. And this will be to the 35-yard line. The rule on kicks, by the way, anything in the end zone is touchback. It's out to the 25. Anything shy of the end zone is at the 35. No kick returns in either the kick or the punt game today. There you see Dabo Swinney. A little controversy swirling around his hiring in the beginning.
Yep.
But and it was a little bit of an unstable ship. But I give the folks here credit for giving him a little bit of patience and saying, okay, you know what, you're our guy. The first 3 seasons, 19 and 15. The last 2, he's certainly paid off that faith.
Yeah, and I think they knew he could recruit, but they wanted to know, can he X and O? Can he get the guys here to help them win? And he's shown that. They had to go work through some things when he first got here. The first couple of years weren't as smooth as they wanted them, but they showed that there were some things that were coming around that would help this team and this program improve.
And his assistant coaches, he's got Chad Morris running the offense, certainly one of the most highly sought-after coaches in the offseason, and Brent Venables, who had been a huge part at Oklahoma, very important coach on the defense for Bob Stoops, is now the D coordinator at Clemson, about to start his 2nd year. And that's the end of that play at the 35. They're going to stay back at the 33-yard line.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt also having Robbie Caldwell, who was an interim head coach at Vanderbilt, been the offensive line coach where he's been. Danny Pearman has been down here a long time. They've got a good nucleus of coaches, guys that can recruit, but also coach these guys up when they get here. And you can see, to win two years in a row, 10 games, that's not easy.
And that is a catch. Wow. And there's Bryant. Yeah. I'm amazed that he was able to hang on to that. What a play by Martavius Bryant at 6'5", just going up to get the rebound.
Yeah, he was able to just go up and just snatch the ball away. And body control. I said 30 yards a catch, but only 10 catches. They want more, and maybe it's only 19 or 20 yards a catch, but still big playability.
Good job there. Good tackle in the open field for the white defense by Travis Blanks, who wasn't buying any of the shoulder shakes. He just stayed low and made the stop.
Out of Tallahassee, Florida, came downhill, nice breakdown. And a running back in DJ Howard, who has actually played pretty well, broke down, made sure he secured the tackle. Hey, Tiger! That's the other thing. They've got some kids from Florida, plucked them out, like a Travis Blanks, whose freshman year comes in and plays well. Then you also have a guy like Sammy Watkins out of Fort Myers, Florida. They've been able to recruit in different areas, bring those kids down and contribute right away.
There's Jordan Leggett with his 2nd catch of this afternoon. This is what Sammy Watkins has done so far.
Just staying alive. Not the song, not the 70s, but as a receiver, you stay alive, and you also show that you got some baseball skills there. But then again, when you have open field, high-end speed like this, and like this.
Like the quarterback, it's the redshirt freshman all the way into the end zone, Nick Schuessler.
The nice end of the replay to come out on a game where we said again, defense, what did they do last year? Give up these kind of plays. Watch that. You can't give up the contain. Right there.
Stone Reed, boy.
Contain. Quandon Christian just walls down. 34 right there. You can't do that. You got to be the last man to stay out. And they all just wash down. Vic Beasley and Quandon, in particular, Christian, who's a lot second level on that play.
36-yard touchdown run, and the Orange takes command again.
Nice fake by Schuessler. Very good fake of riding that ball in there. Good day for the young man.
Yeah, he switched teams. I don't know if you ever did that. Well, you know what? Why don't you go on the other side? We're okay over here.
Or when you have injuries or things that take place. Like I said, he's going to make some mistakes. But you can see as a redshirt freshman coming into this system.
We'll be talking with Dabo Swinney start of the third quarter, and hopefully we'll be able to get an update on some of the injuries if he has any news on that. So it's Taj Boyd sitting this game out, and you see what Taj Boyd did last year. And the one thing about those 514 yards, I got the sense in talking to Coach Swinney that he wanted more out of him, and he certainly wanted him to take care of the ball better.
Yeah. I always get concerned when you hear let's run them a little bit more. I mean, just me.
But because
their system, their system is the way it is. And he also said that more of the big hits for him came from our offensive line, giving up some blind shots. Taj could have gotten rid of the football a little bit quicker and not allowing sacks. So those are things you can clean up. And Dave, you said it earlier. Last year, when they came out of that Orange Bowl, these guys probably were down. They won 10 games, and then they had a horrible end to the season. This year, coming out of a big win, you got to, as a coach, keep them focused on the fine-tuning things. Because you can go out here with your chest stuck out saying, hey, we beat LSU, but you got to also know that now you've got a big X on your chest. And what are you going to do from day one when you play Georgia right out of the gate?
How about that for an opening game? Oh, wide open here. What a great shoulder fake. This is going to be a race to the end zone involving Stanton Seckinger, and he's going to get there first. And in one play, the white team gets back to 6. Their defense just gave up.
And just like that, Brent Venables is going nuts right now.
Yeah, every coach is going crazy for different reasons.
Really, he's the DC for the Orange team, and Marion Hobby is the DC or defensive coordinator for the white team. And Seckinger, big tight end, running down the field. Nice. He's 6'5", 200 pounds. Want to put more weight on him.
75 yards. And by the way, this team is deep at tight end.
Yeah, they are.
Which has become a position, I think, for this school. You know how some schools, linebacker you or quarterback you, whatever, beginning to think that based on what we've seen the last 5 or 6 years, that if you're a tight end, this might be a destination for you to consider.
I would agree.
And PAT was missed, by the way, so we're 24-20.
Well, and this offense, too. Some spread offenses don't feature tight ends, but they use a lot of 1 and 2 tight, and they get the ball to them.
I don't see how you don't. There's so many great tight ends in college football and they go on to success in the NFL, then leaving a tight end out to me is a mistake. And you can get tight ends that are the size of a Seckinger and others that are 6'4", 240, and they can run.
Yeah.
And then there are other teams that use their tight ends primarily for blocking, or if you're really well set up, you can have both. You can bring in a guy to, punch somebody in the mouth, or a guy who can catch. But not to have a tight end to me is a mystery. Saving 10 yards, caught at the 1-yard line. The Orange will take over at the 35-yard line. Well, let me ask you, Clemson finished super strong last year, 11 wins, 7 in the ACC, big bowl win in Atlanta, and one of the most important bowl games, without question, is that Chick-fil-A Bowl.
I agree.
Where do you rank Clemson? I don't necessarily mean top 10, but as in the ACC right off, let's say, would you say this is the team in the ACC?
It's one of them. Because of what they have coming back with the quarterback play. I think that gives them the advantage. If you look at Florida State, they're trying to figure out what their quarterback position looks like. You know what's up there at Virginia Tech. Good run inside, good tackle. It's a nice second-level thing. But I just think that with the way they're set up and having Taj Boyd coming back, that really gives them a leg up on a lot of these teams in the ACC.
There you see some of the games in the ACC, and yes,
the schedule makers, they probably say, why couldn't we have the 31st be South Carolina State? Nothing against South Carolina State, but they're not Georgia.
Good program, actually.
They are.
No, they aren't Georgia. No, and Georgia ought to be awfully good with Murray coming back, even though they've lost Jarvis Jones and Jenkins from that defense that was so good last year. Still, that's a wonderful game for our first Saturday night game on ABC. NC State on ESPN. Yes, Syracuse, now part of the ACC, and Clemson will get to go and play the Carrier Dome.
But you look at all those teams in the ACC. Glennon is gone. Wake Forest has struggled the last few years. Syracuse. Brian Nassib is gone. So I think when you look at what Clemson has coming back, especially at the quarterback position. I mean,
Miami has Morris back.
They have Morris coming back, and he had, I think, at the end of the year played much better.
Yeah, no question about it. And let's face it, it's still the most important position on the field.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, while that may be an over-obvious statement to say, it always, when you're looking at a game and trying to think, well, who do you think's going to win? I always go, well, who has a better quarterback?
Yeah.
That usually helps. Doesn't always work now, but it usually helps. Another big punt by Bradley Pinion, and again, no returns, only fair catches. So there's a flag at the 30-yard line.
You also have to look at returning guys besides the quarterback. And you got to give him room to catch the ball.
Right.
Defender comes up, and Darius Robinson, even though they're not really live on this.
Kick catch interference, number 22 on the kicking team. 15-yard penalty when the spot of the foul. First down.
So these are the ones that the coaches get upset about.
Yes, and understandable. That's just not paying attention in the meetings. That's all that is. And that penalty is going to go all the way out to the 46-yard line. So we're getting and we kind of expected a bit of an offensive show here when you consider Clemson football and what they're best known for and what they have. And we start to wonder if Sammy Watkins may be ready to sign some autographs. Number 2 in white, if you see him out there. Short gain on the run play. Watkins had a couple of touchdown catches already today. And with his spot pretty secure, I don't see him out there at the moment. And now we have another lineman a little slow getting up. We've already seen Kalen Davis leave the game with an apparent leg injury. And now this is Ryan Norton.
And that's not good. That's the guy that they think will be the starter at center, who will replace the 4-year starter in Dalton Freeman. And you definitely don't want to see him shaken up. Well, none of these guys, really. I mean, you don't want to see any injuries when you're coming out of spring.
This is the 4th time we've had to have the trainers. We had one injury that actually was taken care of on the sideline. And that was the tight end, Sam Cooper. And we've had one quarterback, Chad Kelly, injured in this game also today, which necessitated the Orange team to have to borrow a quarterback.
And it looks like Coach Swinney is going off and making sure, talking to the trainers about what are the injuries, what's going on. He goes from official to now coach again.
Big pass over the middle. Nice catch made there by Adam Humphries. And Humphries showing some real speed. He's in.
One area that is going to have to get cleaned up, like I said, is a defensive back.
Yep.
The angles that they're coming down on these slants, which they've seen all spring, are not good at all. They're awful. And then
almost a horse collar tackle, but at the end zone, so no flag was thrown.
Yeah, the angles where they're coming down are totally not good when you got a guy like Humphries going full speed, Sammy Watkins earlier, Seconder.
Shaky on the point after touchdowns at the moment. And the 26-24, the first time the white team has been in charge in the lead all day.
Well, they've come from the big play variety. We've had a lot of big plays today.
That's 3 long touchdown passes in this quarter for the white team.
You know, the one thing they talked about Humphries is being very consistent. I saw it earlier. Great block. He does all those little things. But when he has a chance to catch the football, didn't have a whole lot of yards last year. That was a big play for him. His longest catch last year was only 27 yards. More of that possession guy, doing some dirty work for him. He's not a big guy, 6 foot 190.
Run though. He took off. I mean, we were joking about Watkins holding back a little bit. That was Humphries at his fastest, and he was able to outrun the defense. So Canzero's not had a great spring game. He's missed some PATs. He'll blast this kickoff and try to get it into the end zone, and he will. So that'll be a touchback, and the Orange team will take over at the 25-yard line. We've talked quite a bit about the Tigers' offense, and why not? It was one of the best in the nation last year and one of the best ever in the ACC.
When you get in that 500 range.
It's going to be routine, though. You know, while this is impressive, we're starting to see, to where you look at a team and you go, oh, they got 400 yards. You don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you think about a team like West Virginia or teams in the Big 12. where 600 is kind of routine for them, even though,
Yes. Seen a few of those up close.
Yeah.
Saw West Virginia and Oklahoma State quite a bit last year, and man, did they rack it up.
I'm an offensive-minded guy. I love offensive football, but then it becomes one of those, like the West Virginia-Baylor game last year. Like, will somebody play defense? Will somebody make a stop on defense?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Plain and simple.
Yeah. And if you can play defense, which A&M showed that they could do last year, which Texas at the end of the year played a little bit better.
TCU.
Well, A&M is now SEC, but,
right.
I still.
No, I understand. Believe me. Good defense there by the white team.
Them leaving the Big 12 actually hurt the Big 12 because they were such a good defensive-minded football team while they were there.
And another player down.
Yeah, I hate to see that.
Now, we will have in the second half a running clock. And is this another lineman?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure is. And that's Shaq Anthony. Sophomore guard from Williamston, South Carolina. This is, the third offensive lineman to need some help from the trainers today. Big 76 right there in orange.
Well, either they get leg whip or people roll up over them, under. They're up high and just blocking. And in a position where legs come flying or bodies come rolling up on them.
You got to be wondering what Dabo Swinney's thinking. Because he's, the one bit of good news, when you see Anthony able to get up and favoring that right side just a little bit, but hopefully it's nothing serious. I'm sure Tigers fans will be checking those message boards and blogs later tonight to get information on these injuries. And again, we will be speaking to Coach Swinney at the beginning of the third quarter. I honestly don't know what he's going to tell us about the injuries. We'll ask him. We have not got any information from the folks at Clemson. We were told we could ask the coach, and so we will. Nice slant pattern there. And that's Bryant just dragging defenders across the 50-yard line to the 47.
He's a big, big weapon in this offense.
Well, what a headache this is going to be for defenses in the ACC to deal with these two receivers.
Well, he made some big catches last year, like we said. And then if he can show this again coming out and do this next year, this offense just improves immensely.
Can they get their running game together? And there's a fumble right there recovered. Let's see what the call is. A little fight for the ball right there. And it's going to be orange football. And right after we see the upside of the offense, we see what might be the downfall of this team offensively is if they can't get their run game together.
Well, when you lose a 81-yard rusher who had 8 touchdowns, and you can see the young player there not holding the ball, don't put it away. Trying to find a guy to make sure DJ Howard is back in the game, it looks like. Oh, good catch.
Well, that was a nice catch right at midfield, and there's Bryant again. I want to give credit for the white team to Sean Williams, 99, who disrupted that run play and caused it to be run back into traffic and ended up forcing the fumble.
Son of former Clemson All-ACC running back Ronald Williams.
Martavius Bryant, Sammy Watkins had his turn to shine. Now it's Bryant on this drive. Watkins playing for the white team, and he might be finished for the afternoon after an impressive couple of touchdowns. Redshirt freshman quarterback, he's run for 1 touchdown, and that's going to be all right there. Again, quarterbacks wearing purple, if you're wondering, not familiar with how spring games are run, quarterbacks are off limits. Even that little bit of contact there was more than they're really allowed to do.
That's the true sense of thug.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so hard to pull off of a guy. I mean, I feel for the defenders when a quarterback's in open field because it's kind of like you're giving a dog a milk bone and you keep putting it in his face.
Take
keep
it
putting
away.
putting it in his face. In fact, he's going to bite your hand sooner or later.
Now, 4th down and 5, and let's see what the decision is here. And this is interesting because Dabo Swinney's taking this down to 4 to 3. He may be practicing a situation here. Yep, they call a timeout with a second on the play clock.
Timeout.
So this is a chance to, I mean, this is your show.
Dress rehearsal. You get a chance to actually practice some situations that you may have during the season.
And a chance for these guys to get some camera time. There's the thud rule right there as well. There's a good example of it.
He's got the Crush shirt on.
Well, the ACC is going to have some exciting non-conference games. We've already touched on Clemson v. Georgia, which is a dynamic opener to our ABC Saturday night package on the 31st. But ball coach in the battle of don't you call us Carolina game and that August 29th. Vatek, Bama, also on the 31st. And the Gators and Canes, a rivalry that Miami people really hate Florida more than Florida hates Miami.
I got you.
Virginia, Oregon, I'm just completely intrigued by that matchup. And then Boston College, USC, not your normal Saturday matchup as well. So that'll be all fun to watch. That's a nice punt inside the 10. That was the purpose there, to work on a little of the inside the 20-yard line.
Well, the orange team is saying it touched off the white.
Oh,
that's why
yep. Well, again, Pinion has been stirring it up all game long. And he's saying that I kicked that off the white player, and it's my ball. But I don't think he's going to get the opportunity as the white team sends out the quarterback.
Good punt, though. Very good punt.
The ball will be spotted at the spot of the first touching. First down.
I would say that Watkins has kind of overtaken him as player of the game with the 2 touchdown catches.
Yeah.
Stout has racked up some good numbers at quarterback for this white team in this half, particularly in the second quarter. At one point, it was 17-0 in favor of Orange. There's Sammy Watkins, and it does appear that his day is done. And why not? He's given the crowd more than their share of thrills, and off we go, and almost a big touchdown run by Zach Brooks, the sophomore, and a good open field tackle of 36.
Whenever you see this, a linebacker is out of position or defensive lineman because of the fake, and it just opens up that hole. And Zach Brooks wanted to go to the house on that one, on that 30-yard run.
So after that great punt, one play got him out of the shadow of the end zone. Wide open is the defensive back. And that's where Stout threw it. I looked at that and I went, wait a minute, how come Darius Robinson, the cornerback, is more open than the receiver?
Either the receiver gave up on the route or Stout just said, I know. He threw to a point, and that point was not the right point.
Yeah, that discussion is, and Chad Morris is the quarterback coach for both teams. So Chad, not pleased with that one.
I love how they put an all-time quarterback coach.
Yeah, that's like the all-time. The old guy is the all-time quarterback at the touch football game.
Yeah.
The back of the 34-yard line with 1:59 to go. The Orange team with 2 timeouts. And I imagine we'll get some version of a 2-minute offense here.
Perfect time to work on that situation.
Yeah, while you're doing it without that running clock, which will hamper some of your efforts a little bit. And they go to the middle of the field for a 6-yard pickup.
Spencer Shuey right there. Jordan Leggett again. It's a nice catch.
Well, will these guys remember? It was on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Second and 6, and that's going to be right at the marker, the 44-yard line.
Speaking of Spencer Shuey, he talked about the second half of the season, how he just really changed the defense, became a rock of this defense along with Stephon Anthony. And just, I saw him in high school at South Meck High School in Charlotte, played Charlotte Catholic, and was just a really outstanding player at the fullback and linebacker position.
So the 2-minute drill being run by the redshirt freshman quarterback, Nick Schussler, and so far so good.
Well, it gives you a chance also to really work on this and get your receivers feeling comfortable with what the quarterback's going to do and how he will perform in this position. Offensive line, a chance to protect against a usually disruptive defense.
And this time, a sack back at the 48-yard line.
The old coverage sack. Quarterback had nowhere to throw it. Defense got there in time. Very good coverage on the back end of this, in the secondary and the linebackers.
So with 1 minute and 5 seconds left in this half, Schussler will try to, or Schussler, I should say, will try to re-coordinate things on. I don't know if there was a timeout called here, but again, when you're running the game, you can do whatever you want. I don't think a formal timeout was called.
Like I said, the ninth official is the ruler.
Yep, 3rd down and 7 coming up.
Dabo Swinney. Great story. I mean, the fans that know and know college football know his brother couldn't say that boy, and it sounded like Dabo. So he started calling him Dabo, and it stuck with him.
Yeah, it's not one you find in the book of baby names very often.
From a walk-on wide receiver at Alabama. Just a guy that has a lot of energy.
Caught, and that'll be a 1st down for the Orange, and right in front of their bench. Jordan Leggett's 3rd catch of the half.
Coach knew something about it. He knew there were going to be some plays in there, and he knew that he was going to get an opportunity. And the other thing is Schussler, who now has moved over here, probably is doing the same thing Chad Kelly would have done being in the game, because they both redshirt freshmen.
Chad Kelly, the nephew of former Buffalo Bill and Houston Gambler quarterback, and Hurricane quarterback Jim Kelly, injured in the 1st quarter. We had what a catch by Bryant! Yes, sir, at the 20-yard line.
I almost want to run down there and give him a high five on that one. That was a great catch.
You know, if the NFL wants to open up scoring, why don't you get rid of the 2-foot rule? Because with the talent you have in the NFL, you'll get more points with a 1-foot rule.
And he was close to getting 2 in. Got 1 down. Couldn't quite get that other one. But look at the catch. Yeah. And that's something that you see these Clemson guys do a very good job of. Catch the football.
Sack, pressure coming that time from the blind side. And the play completely disrupted. And I believe that's Ogundeko in there, defensive end out of Brooklyn, who is a real freshman. If these numbers are right, his experience, he is a true freshman. Lining up at that defensive end position, number 1 in white. And to the ground, and not much there. Good tackle by B.J. Goodson, the sophomore linebacker.
Dave, you bring up a good point. Now, a lot of these guys, early enrollees, get in here and get a chance to start, get a jump start on their other freshman compadres that will come in the fall.
And Vic Beasley, number 3, is back in the game. He's taken that spot. And a timeout called by the Orange with 5 seconds to go. So, again, you throw one to the end zone if you want, or bring out your kicker and do it the conventional way.
Good opportunity for Schussler to get some time and get an opportunity to throw the football and get coached up.
You see Chad Morris there in the visor. I didn't realize that other coaches in South Carolina wore visors. I would think you wouldn't, given who wears one south of here, but
hey, the visor is sold everywhere. It's the right color.
It is. It does say Clemson on it, that's for sure. So Daniel Rodriguez in the hold for Bradley Pinion. Blocked. Now, some spring games will award points for blocked kicks. I don't see that on my list of rules here. Kick, I think, came out a little low in addition to the solid block. So an interesting mixed bag here in the spring game. Lots to like if you're a Clemson fan. Sammy Watkins, Martavius Bryant playing brilliantly at the wide receiver position. But there were some injuries as well for this ACC power. The Clemson Tigers white and orange game, 50 points already in the first half. Been fun. We'll continue our coverage of the Clemson spring game, and we hope to have a conversation with. What a gorgeous day in Clemson, South Carolina, the campus here. A lot of folks on hand for this spring game. This is the ACC on ESPN as we get ready to start the third quarter on this picture-perfect day here. Frank Howard Field, Memorial Stadium. This game kicked off, as all Clemson home games do, with a rubbing of Howard's Rock. And we have had a ton of offense in this game. But unfortunately for the Tigers, also 5 times we've had to see the training staff come out in the first half, 3 of them on the offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you want is your young guys and veterans to get a lot of experience working through, making sure they are working together. The one thing you don't want is anybody to go down with any serious, even minor injury. But that's the one thing. We don't know the severity of these injuries, and you just hope that all these guys will come out of this okay.
It began on the very first series, actually, the injuries, and it's affected the way the quarterbacks are shuffling around. Taj Boyd not playing today, the starting quarterback for the Tigers. And as we've mentioned, as Charles has said, certainly Taj doesn't have to be out there. But Chad Kelly was expected to be a key part, the freshman from Niagara Falls, New York, and he was injured early in the first quarter and has not returned. So that's forced some quarterback shuffling for Dabo Swinney and his staff.
You know, the one thing we talked about with Dabo when we had that conference call was making sure that the defense not give up big plays, and we've seen some of those. He said the defense had really done well all spring, and I know he can't be happy with the way things have worked in this game, the amount of big plays that have taken place.
It's such a mixed bag when you're coaching in one of these games. That, by the way, you heard the cannon shot go off. The kick was in the end zone, and here in the spring game, there are no kick returns, no punt returns, no kick returns. So that's a touchback to the 25-yard line. Dabo Swinney is joining us here, and we were just talking about how you can't win this situation, Coach. You know, if it's your offense is playing well, your defense isn't, or the other way around.
Well, we've done some good things. You know, I'm not really surprised at how the game's going, and you know, seeing the orange team jump out like they did. And then seeing the white team respond like they did. This group's very competitive. They got a lot of pride. You know, you've seen some big plays, especially on the back end. And, you know, we're pretty thin in the secondary right now. When you divide us, we become real thin. But, you know, it's been very competitive, been a lot of fun, been a great day out here. And, you know, good to see them competing hard.
Your decision not to play Taj today, what was behind that?
Well, we just, you know, we kind of backed off of him. He's had a great spring, but we just kind of pulled back a little the last 3 practices because we really wanted Chad Kelly and Cole Stout to have the opportunities to kind of go head-to-head and get all the reps. You know, we're pretty confident in Taj Boyd. It's unfortunate to see Chad get hurt, and, you know, look like he's going to be out for a little while. But, you know, we had a great competition going there. But, you know, Cole Stout has performed very well. You know, it's good to see, you know, a couple of walk-ons, Nick Schuessler, Donnie McElveen come in and take advantage of their opportunities too.
Can you update us any more on the other injuries? Do you have any information?
No, I think everybody else is fine. We had a couple of other guys get banged up. The only one that I think is significant is Chad Kelly. It's unfortunate, you know. You're going to go ahead and do the MRI in the morning, but you know, at this point it looks like his ACL, which is just, you know, he's in a non-contact, he's in a purple jersey. It's just, you know, bad things happen sometimes. But I know that young man, you know, he's a Kelly. And listen, I just listened to Jim Kelly speak last night at a function, and, you know, he's a Kelly. And he's got all of his family here. And what a great start he was off to. And he's going to be a special player. He's going to be a freshman next year. He's got his whole future and career in front of him. You know, we'll hopefully get him back before the season is over this fall. But, you know, it's just a tough blow to him and to all of us because he really was having a great spring, and I know would have worked really hard to be in the mix at the beginning of the season. But, you know, adversity happens and you grow from it, and I know that Chad Kelly will come back, you know, better than ever. And he doesn't have to look any further than his own family to understand, you know, what his DNA is all about.
You know, Coach, on a brighter note, Sammy Watkins has had a great game, but also Martavis Bryant. Yeah. The one guy we talked about earlier this week, and Jordan Leggett, but in particular Martavis has made some nice plays. And those are the things that spring games are for. That's right. Tell us a little bit more about how you feel about his performance today.
Well, all those receivers have performed well. Sharon Peak is a guy we're really counting on, jumped out with a touchdown early. You know, Martavis is just, he's a special athlete, no question about it. You know, the big thing with him that has been so encouraging is he's really, you know, bought in and just fully committed to the way we do things here. And, you know, talent has never been a problem with him. It's great to see him being rewarded, you know, with a day like he's having, because he certainly has been tremendous. And then Sammy Watkins, you know, just his explosiveness is special. He's made some big plays today. Adam Humphries, Stanton Seconder, one of your tight ends that you love to talk about. It's good to see him make a big play and show a little speed as well.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time and the time during the week and all the hospitality here in Clemson. Delighted to be here, and good luck.
Okay, hey, thank you. Good to be with you.
I appreciate it. Dabo Swinney joining us here, the ACC on ESPN, and that mixed bag. Very unfortunate to hear about you. I did see Shaq Anthony, who had walked off the field earlier, back out for the Orange team on that series. So that's one of the young men who had been treated earlier. So delighted to hear that most of the other injuries are not serious, but it does sound like a bad one for Chad Kelly. But the only bright side out of it is he is a freshman, and there's plenty of time for him to come back.
Yeah, he talked about Jim Kelly. I had the good fortune, or the bad fortune, when I was with the Colts to play those guys twice a year. We got them in '92, even though they went to the Super Bowl.
The K-Gun days?
Yeah, and then, Ted Marchibroda, who had been there, was our head coach. I had 9 catches for 101 yards. We beat them, and then they throttled us when we went out there to play them earlier in the year. But the key about it is Jim Kelly was one of those guys that, man, he was as big as a linebacker and as physical a guy from the quarterback position.
Nearly a big play that time. Schuster just missing. And he is back with the team, the white team that he was originally supposed to play with. But again, the nature of spring games, when you're down a quarterback, you're actually down 2 with Boyd sitting out today. Not because he's hurt. If you just missed the conversation with Coach Swinney, again, Taj Boyd showing what he's had to show. He's doing fine. In fact, they're trying to slow him down to get him ready. Good defense again. The run game hasn't quite taken off. At that time, Alex Good, a redshirt junior, stopped.
It's interesting, though, the back end, and he mentioned it, Dabo Swinney did, that they're thin there, but they're not thin up front. So every time the running game is taking place, for the most part, those guys up front, that defensive line has done a pretty nice job of bottling it up. It's been those big plays over the top that have really hurt both defenses.
Now we're going to get a running clock here after the first 5 minutes of the third quarter. And again, every program does theirs a little bit differently. And that's the decision made by Dabo Swinney and his staff to do it that way.
Talking about the Buffalo connection, Jim Kelly, C.J. Spiller there now.
Yeah, he's a fabulous player, by the way. I'm not joking. When I had the pleasure of calling a couple of his games in college, and he could do anything coming out of the backfield that you needed to do. And I thought the Marshall Faulk comparison was apt because I always thought Faulk's one of the best players I'll ever see, and Spiller is on that path.
Marshall had such a high IQ. The first day he got on the practice field after a holdout, you knew he was special. But watching C.J. when he was not only in college, if he could stay healthy, but what he's been able to do in the pros, you just don't get to see him because Buffalo is not good right now.
No, they've got problems. There's no question. So the Orange team will take over at the 22-yard line. We'll see some of the younger players for the Tigers now getting an opportunity to shine in the second half. Time with Charles Arbuckle. I'm Dave Lamont. We thank you for joining us on this Clemson spring game, and a bad start for the young quarterback McElveen, that Dabo Swinney just mentioned there, unable to hang on to the snap.
Getting the opportunity, that's the one thing if you're a young quarterback and you didn't anticipate you would be in this game. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden,
that's all you can
next
ask
man
for,
up.
Right?
Yeah, next man up.
That's all you can ask for. And a little shoulder shake on the play action, but that play swallowed up by the interior of the team white defense. Trying to unpile the bodies, and it looked like Roderick Bryers in there, a sophomore out of Rock Hill. And again, looking at, you talked about this in the first half, as I look at the rosters, look at these hometowns, I see a lot of that abbreviation SC.
Yep.
And with, as you mentioned earlier, the growth of the Carolinas as a destination for great athletes, and they're keeping them here, particularly in South Carolina.
When you look at where the population has started to grow, I mean, you can see Florida, you can see Georgia, you can see South Carolina, you can see North Carolina. And with that growth, they have kids that grow up in systems and they learn how to play. And, if they see schools in these areas that they like, why go far away from home when mom and daddy and grandmother and auntie and uncle can come see you an hour, 2 hours away by car?
Yeah, never underestimate that. Well, I'll ask you, since you played the game at UCLA and also in the pros, when you were recruited, did the coach, who was the person that your coach tried to charm the most?
You mean Mike?
In your family?
My mom.
That's you know what? Yeah. I think that is a unanimous recruiting rule that even though there's no book on it, us poor fathers, we don't get any love at all, but it's always the moms that the coaches are going after.
Whether it was Barry Switzer, Jimmy Johnson, Terry Donahue, any of those guys that came in, they hugged you and talked to you and shook your hand, but they were going straight to mama. They wanted to make sure if I'm going to have this son, her son, leave this home and go far away, we're going to make sure that we get you comfortable.
Yeah, that it's so funny because I've talked to coaches who have made those speeches, and they will tell you right away, if mom's in play, she's in charge.
Oh, great defensive play there.
Yep, knocked away.
Actually, he was the defender, or the receiver, but he knew he couldn't get to it.
Yep. That is Robert Smith, the safety, who, I don't know if he jammed something a little bit there, but he's going to take himself out, or if he want to stay. No, he's going to stay on the field.
But the receiver did a nice job of becoming the defender on that play. Nice play by Andrew Moss.
And again, the zone read. That time didn't work as well as it had before for Schussler, who ran in a long touchdown earlier, but he was able to get 3 yards. And again, no tackling the quarterback. Well, Dabo Swinney almost seems like one of the old men of the ACC now. He's been around a while because you got 3 new coaches. I think that Dave Doran hire is a really interesting one. He has done a great job at NIU. And we'll forget about the bowl game. That happens.
Yeah.
Steve Adazio, very energetic coach in at BC, where they have unfortunately kind of fallen a bit.
He did a good job recruiting at Temple.
He did.
On the BC should be the same in that same area.
And Scott Schaefer getting an opportunity to be a head coach. After a few years ago, I'm sure when he left Stanford and went to Michigan and the whole thing kind of blew up the first year there with Rich Rodriguez, Scott Schaefer probably had to wonder if he was ever going to get an opportunity to be a head coach. And with Doug Marrone leaving, Scott Schaefer gets that chance.
Doug Marrone did a very nice job, and Scott Schaefer being on that staff. They did. I thought the one thing they did is recruit really well, and then got players in there and developed them pretty nicely.
It's an interesting addition, and as much we're never going to be able to get the Big East or the ACC back to the way it used to be. Syracuse is working on improving their facilities, their offices, some of the area for the football team. They've already started with a few aspects of their program to make it better. And I think Doug Marrone walked into a very difficult situation because Syracuse football had unfortunately really fallen off the map for a little while. They had really crashed. And to see them come back and become competitive, and now that they're entering a new conference, I'm really curious to see how they're going to adjust to playing in the ACC. Incompletion there. Third down and 11 coming up.
Jermon Hopper out of Berry High School in Charlotte, North Carolina. So the other thing with this is that you got a lot of kids. Charlotte's only 2.5 hours away. It's right on the border.
Let's hope it's sooner than that.
And a lot of these guys will look at Clemson and South Carolina, as well as the North Carolina schools, whether it's NC State, North Carolina, or Wake Forest, or Duke now. So, you got a lot of schools right in a central area for recruiting.
Catch made, and a good tackle in the open field. And it looks like the Orange team has recruited some other players. I believe that's Martin Aiken. Of course, nope, that's Jones on the stop. I'm sorry, Kellen Jones, 52, but he's wearing, that's a 52, not a 53. Great tackle in the open field.
It's J.J. McCullough, the tight end.
He's been traded to the Orange team.
Whenever you see that jersey on top of the white, and Cullen Jenkins is a transfer from Oklahoma. Kellen Jones, excuse me, is a transfer from Oklahoma. Played under Brent Venables. They think he's got a lot of ability, explosive player.
No kick returns today. That's a nice kick out of bounds, shy of the 10-yard line at about the 12. We'll see where the official finally stops. It is the 12-yard line. Kick returns waved off. He'll either have a fair catch or a situation like that where the punter wisely tucks it out of bounds at about the 12-yard line.
We keep talking about giving people the ability to understand offenses or defenses. So the second year of this defense now, they feel more comfortable. They're not thinking about plays, but more reacting. And that's what you have to do on the defensive side. You've got to become more of I see the play, I go to it, and I make the play as opposed to thinking through it. And defenders, they don't have to be smart once they go attack the football. They got to diagnose it before. But when they get to the football, they have to have mean intentions.
Well, one of my favorite expressions is don't think you're hurting the team. And I really do, while there is certainly an element of intelligence required to play sports, you're right. Sometimes you can overthink it and you get caught thinking and stuff happens while you're standing there.
And that was the one thing we talked about. The defense is going to give up some plays because there's going to be some vanilla. They're not blitzing every time. They're not scheming against the offense, and there's some big players that can make plays. But I think what you also want to see in these games is if one team gets out in front, Dabo said it, the other team is going to come back and how you respond and play through anything that's going wrong and where we're not playing at the level that we need to play at.
Marcus Bullard, certainly a player to keep an eye on this year, the sophomore out of Columbia. Very promising linebacker in there on that stop. He was traded to the white team. And B.J. Goodson, sophomore linebacker.
The thing I notice about B.J. Goodson is his special teams kind of mentality. He gets after the football because on the special teams, you don't have time to think.
Nope.
You're going to get ear-holed if you're looking around, and I think that helps him. He didn't play a whole lot last year defensively, but he played the special teams, and they expect him to come in and help out. Spencer Shuey, Kellen Jones is another guy, Stephon Anthony, who they really think has a lot of upside.
Binion with a high kick. And a fair catch made at the 32-yard line, 33-yard line. They'll mark him down. Again, we're using a running clock now for the remainder of the game. Even on kicking situations. But let's go back to something we talked about in the first half, Charles. It's going to be a critical part of college football this year is the enforcement of that targeting defenseless player penalty. And the enforcement is it's a mandatory ejection for any player penalized for those fouls.
Yeah, that's why they've gone with the eighth official, but they've also made it, and we had to do some research before, which is great when you can call a person to tell you. They can overturn it, the ejection, but not the penalty. So the replay official can say, no, that should not be an ejection. They would then let the player stay, but the penalty does not go away.
And again, like every video review, every play is looked at.
Yeah.
Others get, of course, more attention. And there has to be indisputable video evidence to overturn the ejection. You cannot reverse it and have an ejection called for by the replay booth.
Exactly.
And then you start getting into questioning the judgment of the official, and that's tricky as it is.
The one thing I do like, though, is that they all will have wireless communication during the year. They don't have it today.
Right.
But that'll be a good thing, too, because then, you usually have these long conferences. Well, you can still have them, but now guys can communicate things and, hey, I saw this, and this is what happened.
And I tell you what, it's going to happen first weekend of the season. There's going to be some ejections, and there's going to be all sorts of stink being raised about it, right or wrong, about the rule and whether or not it's good for the game.
The one thing I still don't like is that defensive guys still know if I take a helmet off, the guy has to go out.
Yeah.
But if it's a penalty against me and I come hit you, you don't have to come out. Well, usually when you get ear-holed, that's when you need to go out for a play.
just to remember, you check your driver's license to see who you are. Inside, there's another good catch. The tight end to the 32-yard line. That's Andrew Moss, who is 6'4", 185, listed as a wide receiver at 185. He would be a wide receiver, but he has the height of a tight end and the hands of a tight end.
A nice throw over the top, too. Just a real nice throw, giving the receiver a chance to catch it. He knows he's going to get hit. We talked about these guys all looking like Sammy Watkins and Martavis Bryant of going and getting the ball at its highest point and pulling it in.
Well, they have a factory of receivers at this place. And the ball up for grabs and almost intercepted by the orange team. The waning seconds of the third quarter.
DeAndre Hopkins, who's gone now.
Yeah, but I think about him. We've seen, we saw a nice play there by Moss, who's a redshirt junior. We had the long touchdown with Adam Humphries, who is a junior and somebody they're counting on as maybe their third receiver this year. Sammy Watkins speaks for itself, and Martavis Bryant, if he gets his act together, and you hear Dabo Swinney talk about that, there's a lot to like about this Clemson offense, and it's certainly going to be one of the most dangerous in the ACC. One more quarter to go in the Clemson spring game, the ACC on ESPN.
In Clemson, South Carolina, Clemson spring game, you can see the white team 26, orange team 24 started the fourth quarter. great day for football. And then right after this, 6:30, there's a baseball game for these fans if they want to stay here. Just making it a long weekend.
Yeah, it's a good weekend. The long weekends are the best weekends, as we all know. Perfect day for the youngsters to come out. Great day for recruits to come out as well. And that's one of the biggest recruiting pushes going on, with getting an opportunity for these guys to experience at least some of the game atmosphere at whatever college is chasing them. And contact in the backfield. And that means that pass, the whole thing doesn't count. It's going to be a sack. And coming around there, T.J. Burrell, a redshirt freshman. Again, another South Carolinian from Goose Creek.
Brent Venables, the DC or defensive coordinator for the Orange team, dialed up a little blitz there. T.J. Burrell came on the outside. Especially when you only have 5 blockers there. He came on the outside. There's no tight end. They went spread formation. Perfect call.
Plenty of time that time, and it's intercepted. He threw to one of his former teammates. And an opportunity for Kellen Jones to take it down to the 20-yard line.
Yeah, reading about spring, early in the spring, they said he was just all over the field. And this was a poor throw by Nick Schuessler. For Kellen Jones, after the blitz, usually a bad play beget another bad play. They get a sack, and then what happens after that? A poor decision. I was just getting ready to say the quarterback is playing well. He's improving. I jinxed him mentally. Kellen Jones did it for real.
He took that down to the 20-yard line. Again, Jones wearing that little mesh vest after playing for the white team before. Now he's on the orange sideline.
Yep.
One thing we didn't have in the third quarter that we had, there's no scoring. Again, with a running clock, it's going to be a little more difficult, but let's see how the orange team takes advantage. They don't. Interception in the end zone, and that's Travis Blanks, the sophomore from Tallahassee. We had talked about him a little bit earlier in the show.
Who got chewed out at halftime? The defensive players.
Well, clearly, but is this a good throw
no,
here?
It's not a good throw. He throws it right to him. That should be outside, away, so only his guy has a chance at it. Adam Humphries or no one, or excuse me, Jordan Leggett. That was a poor throw. But 2 young quarterbacks. Those are the things you have to accept when you have young guys playing, and the defense has seen them now.
Yeah.
You know, they're saying, okay, you throw that up there, we're going to get that.
Well, it's interesting because we saw in the first half, we made several times the comments about how the defense has an edge because they know what's coming. And then we saw the second quarter, the defense has got lit up. Here's another example of it right there. Schuessler was going to get down about a 12-yard pickup to the 33. It's a 13-yard gain following the zone read.
Contain. That means stay outside. Your outside shoulder should be as wide as the
Why does that work? Because we saw it in the NFL. I mean, look what the 49ers did and Seattle with that zone read.
It's going to go away in the NFL at some point because those defenses are going to get mad hip to it. They're going to start doing some gimmicky things on defense. But in college, you've got to make sure. You got to ensure that guy doesn't have the football. These quarterbacks with the ball handling is what's getting the defensive end to collapse like that.
Hopper with a nice catch in traffic. Jermon Hopper will be short of the first down by a few, so it'll be second down about 4 coming up.
You put that ball in there, and he holds it so long, and the quarterback is looking out there, and he sees you cave down, he just pulls it out. The running back, all he does is say, I'm going to either take it at some point or I'm just going to not have the ball. And if you do this properly, and they cave down, that's where those big plays come on the outside.
No gain that time for good. And a good tackle by Shaq Lawson, a freshman from Central South Carolina. Literally the town of Central South Carolina. Third down and 5.
Lawson, another one of those early enrollees that's come in, and the number 1 prep school prospect in the nation out of Hargrave Military Academy.
That'll be first down for the white team. I'm just looking at the same book, and look right above that, Jaron Kearse, who's got quite a bloodline for football.
Yeah, the freak, right?
That's his uncle. And we have another injured player, unfortunately, for the white team, and that will stop the clock. And I can't get a good read on whom that might be. And, okay, now we're identifying that as Andrew Moss, who had a nice catch earlier in the game. We did, if you missed it earlier, Dabo Swinney spoke with us coming out of the third quarter. Said the only one of the injuries that appeared to be serious in the first half was the one to quarterback Chad Kelly. And Swinney suspects that it's an ACL problem. Let's see what happened to Moss here.
Took a pretty good shot.
Yeah, it might be a rib cage, or he may have had the breath knocked out of him. Hopefully that's all it is. I say that's all it is. It's like that's easy to get to. I get the breath knocked out of me walking upstairs.
Moss does a good job of securing the catch, making sure, but you kind of right there, T.J. Burrell comes over the top and really delivers a blow.
And it's tough. I thought you made a great point in the very beginning when we saw the first two running plays. It looked almost in slow motion, as if the players didn't know how hard they should go.
Yeah.
And here was a clean hit, a perfect kind of hit you'd expect to see, and I'm glad to see the young man looks like he's going to be okay. There was a clean hit, but you're right. If you hold up.
Yeah. They're getting into the flow of the game and how it's supposed to be played, but in the back of the players' minds, even they see guys going out, and you don't want to see your own teammates hurt, and you don't want to get hurt. You want to be in position so when you come back in the fall, you're ready to play, and that's the one thing with spring that you hope guys are able to get through, and it's just more minor things that they're shaking up, maybe the wind knocked out of them.
We hope that's all it is, and always happy to see him be able to jog off under his own power.
The other thing is, we used to call it brother-in-law. When teams, coaches knew when you were doing that. When you were playing patty cake in football, just go up and kind of hit each other, and then coaches get mad. These guys, a team, the players have said, okay, we need to be physical, but we also need to keep each other up and don't get hurt. If things happen, they're going to happen. Like Chad Kelly, it wasn't one where he got hit. It was just one in open field.
Took a funny step and injured his right leg and might be out for a while. The only little bit of shred of good news on that is that he's young. He's a freshman. Plenty of time to still have his college career in front of him.
He had gone out with Taj Boyd to work out with George Whitfield, a guy out in California who's a quarterback, kind of a guru, working with both of those guys. And he compares Taj Boyd to a college version of Aaron Rodgers, not to the sense of he's Aaron Rodgers, but some of the things that he can do. And he was really high on Chad Kelly as well. I caught up with him last week getting ready for the game. And he was just saying the things that these young guys are able to do, especially in that offense. He said they're coached well. Chad Morris gets them well. He said, but then they want to come and get extra work to get better. And that's what you're starting to see more at the college level.
Have to. Yeah. It's so competitive. You have no choice. If you want to get better, you've got to take the time in the offseason.
It used to be spring break was, if you were in California, you'd go to Miami for spring break, or those guys would come back out our way. Now it's going, hey, let's go get some work in. Let's go get better.
I don't know if we're going to have a sack ruled here or the incompletion. I believe it's going to be an incompletion. So we'll see the punt unit come out for the white team. No scoring in the second half. The orange team led 17-0 at one point. The white team decided to throw it to Sammy Watkins. That paid off for 2 long touchdowns. And white team has taken over. They've missed 2 extra points. And that's why we have that odd number of 26.
Number 95.
Dave, I equate good football teams to good food. What do good food have? You got onions, bell peppers, and garlic. Well, special teams to me is garlic. You don't need a whole lot of it, but it makes a big impression when it's there.
So you like a roux for your, you need a little celery, you're going to do a roux then.
You can throw celery in, but those 3, onions, bell pepper, and garlic always are staples.
All right, I think I'm going to skip dinner at the Arbuckle House if I'm ever invited. I'll think we'll go out for pizza instead. The support here, Charles and I went out, a little stroll, a cup of coffee about 11 this morning, and there were people already making that left turn on College Avenue to get up the hill to get here for a seat and maybe a little tailgate. The passion for football in Clemson is unquestioned, and they may have a lot to be excited about this year. There certainly appears to be a program going in the right direction, and a program that's coming off of back-to-back 10-plus win seasons, a dramatic bowl victory over LSU in Atlanta, the Chick-fil-A Bowl. And when the preseason folks start to send out their predictions, I would imagine that Clemson's going to be in the top 2 or 3 in the ACC, and who knows where they'll be ranked when the first ranking comes out. But the ACC's got some tough schedule. It's got some tough games as they bring in some new franchises and bring in Syracuse and Pitt. We've got 11 games against non-conference teams that were in the top 25, 9 against the top 10, and 56 games against teams that have winning seasons in 2012.
And the thing is, if you want to play against the best or be the best, you got to play them.
Yep.
And I think that's, the one thing that is great for Clemson is beating an LSU. That means you play the SEC school and you beat them, especially after losing to South Carolina, a game which they started out strong and found a way to lose. So I think when you are able to play a tough non-conference schedule, playing Georgia right away, it's going to tell you where you are as a team.
And I'm glad you brought up about the bowl, because the bowl season has its critics.
Yeah.
And there's some who say it's not significant, but I think the games are significant as a building block. No matter what the program is, by the way, if you're a 6-win program that just greased their way, and go tell Ole Miss that it wasn't significant for them to win a bowl game as they did when they beat Pitt in the BBVA Compass Bowl. There's some of the non-conference games you're going to see that on some of our family of networks, including, which should be a lot of fun, in South Carolina, down south of here.
Yeah.
And then your ABC Saturday night game, Georgia Clemson here on a Saturday night in Death Valley. That's going to be insane. Absolutely insane.
You talk about Howard Rock. Michael D. Perry said, he had won Legion Player of the Week a few times during his redshirt year. So he said, Danny Ford said, Michael, you can run down and touch the rock and, do whatever guys that aren't playing do. He said, but for your hard work, he said, Coach, I don't want to touch that rock till I can make a contribution on the field.
And that's the way to do it.
And,
you don't want to be a tourist. You want to be one of the attractions.
Well, and great career that he had. You talk about the defense down linemen and their ability to make plays. That's what they have now, some good young players. That's the rock that everybody talks about, touching the rock.
Yeah, and they let other folks do it, by the way, which is another nice thing. You see a guy taking a photo there. See a lot of the children around there. It's not one of those things, it's guarded like the Mona Lisa.
Dad's trying to coach him up. See, the daughter got right in the way. Girls usually know. The young girls, they know. But the boys are like, no, which way you want me? Dad's got to coach him up, put him there right, take the picture. Then you got the other guys, they can see they're on camera, so they're trying to be seen.
They're doubling up on their camera time right now. But I'm wondering when that guy's going to fire the picture, because he's held those kids there for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, we mentioned some of the big we have a timeout here. That's why the clock stopped here. Some of the key non-conference games that we've talked about. Georgia Clemson here in Death Valley. Mm-hmm. Canes Gators in the Swamp on September 7. That will be a good early test for both. Hard to call how that game is going to turn out. I think Miami has the advantage with bringing Morris up as the experienced quarterback, which is a big thing in a tough environment.
Opening for Mike London, going out to Oregon with the new coach now.
I think that's a fascinating game. You'd think that Oregon would have the advantage there, because they do still return some pretty good studs on offense.
Well, think about that Virginia team. They also now have Tom O'Brien on their staff and John Tenuta. Can they make a difference there? And this is Jordan Leggett.
Oh, nice little move there. There's Leggett into the end zone, and the Orange team has taken the lead.
The one thing I'll say about Coach Swinney, he gave us some good scoop, and it's come to fruition.
Yes, if he ever wants to get into the horse business, he'd be a good track tout.
Here's a guy that's an early enrollee and has come in and made some plays. And
nice catch.
Another catch. Good catch down low. And if you have good tight ends like this, what does it do, Dave? It opens up those guys on the outside. All your guys like Tim Brown, who I love, they know they got to have tight ends work in the middle so they can make plays too.
So the onus will be on the white team to see if they can come back now. PAT's been a little bit of an adventure today, but that was perfect. They were firing that cannon, by the way, during the alumni game today that happened 2 hours before we ever kicked it off here. I don't know where they get their gunpowder, but they got plenty of it. That thing's active. And by the way, when the stadium was empty.
That little thing is loud.
Yes. Yes, it was. With headsets on, it's a little bit more acceptable. Here's the Tigers' schedule. Again, we've talked quite a bit about the Georgia game. South Carolina State, very good FCS program. Then a little time off to get healed. That looks like a Thursday night date to me against NC State. You mentioned Tom O'Brien, who had been the head coach there. Wake at Syracuse. That's going to be fascinating when you start to go to these places for the first time. First time they've been to the Carrier Dome. Then they get to BC, Florida State. Big game on October the 19th. At Maryland, at Virginia, Georgia Tech, a traditional game against the Citadel, and the old ball coach gets them down there. in Columbia, what will be an intense Thanksgiving weekend game.
And it's always interesting to see how the schedule shakes out when the season gets here, as opposed to what we see now. But there's some matchups there that make you think.
Oh, yeah. And there's always, you know how that goes. There's going to be one game we looked at and thought it was going to be terrible that's going to be great, and one game that ended up looking like it was going to be a great matchup that's going to kind of lose its zing as the season goes on.
And just like there's a lot of excitement here at Clemson, same way in Texas A&M with Johnny Manziel coming back.
Oh, yeah.
And the comparables between Taj Boyd and what Manziel has been able to do. You know, another good quarterback that, you know, Louisville, Teddy Bridgewater.
I love Teddy Bridgewater.
I like him a lot. I like
love
his
that
game.
guy. His toughness that he proved at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I've had a chance to see him play quite a bit, and I just think he's outstanding. I can't say a bad thing about him.
And we got to give A.J. McCarron some credit. I mean,
Sure.
Here's a guy that's won
He's got national
championships.
championships. He gets enough credit.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
He's got national championships, for heaven's sakes. He played really well in that title game, too. All of Alabama did, obviously. And their spring game will be on next week on ESPN2. There's a sack recorded by the Orange defense, and they brought the pressure. And they'll have a full house for that one. We had a great attendance here, probably about 35,000 on a day where you could be doing a lot of outdoor activities. Utterly perfect weather here, about 76 degrees, virtually no humidity, and great attendance as you would expect. And that catch, incomplete. Ruled. Knocked away at the last second.
You know, when you look through these rosters on both sides, you can see Tavares Barnes from Jacksonville. You see a lot of Florida, South Carolina, Georgia. A lot of those guys that, you know, we're seeing show up. They're getting some very good talent in this area.
I want to see what impact in recruiting that Syracuse and Pitt are going to have on the South. Are they, now that they've been invited in the door, are they going to be able to come into the South, into the Carolinas, into Florida, into Georgia, and have an impact?
It'll be interesting because Maryland was able to do it before they moved to the Big Ten. They would come down and get some players, but they really made their home in that D.C. area, that base. And when Syracuse was good, they were going down and getting kids.
Under Pasqualoni when they were at their peak, when McNabb was running around.
Yeah, they didn't. I mean, they went and got. So they were selective, but they got guys up there.
Well, you had a player in Donovan McNabb who made Syracuse a destination. That's a once-in-a-generation kind of football player.
And then Marvin Harrison right after him.
Oh, you got a little mistake here made by the special teams. Now, I'm looking. Yeah, there's the flag at the 42-yard line. There's a penalty marker down. I think there's going to be another fair catch interference penalty here called, second one today. Yeah, if you can get a guy like that, like a Michael Vick, was a once-in-a-generation talent for Virginia Tech, and, you know, that paid off down the road for several years. They were able, because he created excitement.
Kick catch interference, number 81 on the kicking team. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Particularly programs that had gone through a stretch where they were kind of dry for a while. And then they bring those great players, bring them up.
Yeah.
And then that carries over. At Syracuse, that had run out. Now they seem to, under Doug Marrone, who's now gone on to the NFL, or I should actually say go back to the NFL since he had been an assistant there. They may be on their way back up. And it'll make for a better ACC if they do. They're going to invite the fans on the field when the game is over a few minutes after it concludes, which has got to be a thrill for the youngsters.
That's the best part, being a young kid, being able to run out here on the field.
I always let them do that. I agree completely. I mean, you know, I always like the plays. Yeah, take the goalposts away, whatever. You don't want anybody to get hurt. And
30-second timeout.
I assume that's the white team that's going to be taking that. They're going to try to get the ball back.
They're trying to go down and win this ball game.
Well, unfortunately for them, the orange team has the good field position, and one first down will probably do it. So the white team will have 2 timeouts. Georgia and Clemson have played before now, and 2 of the last 3 meetings were very close. Now, that's the best moment for some people in this battle. Not everybody would agree with that, but a 60-yard field goal to win a game is pretty good.
Kevin Butler had a nice long NFL career
he did,
as well.
Huh? Yes, he did. And it brings up a point you and I were talking off the air. And Clemson is pretty solid in the kicking game here with Catanzaro as their primary place kicker. I just don't understand how the big colleges, the big universities, the winning programs, the traditional programs don't always get the best possible kickers.
Yeah,
because that eventually is going to get you.
Yeah, it always comes back to bite you.
You know, somebody's going to play you tough, and you're going to need a field goal to win a game, or you're going to need a couple of kicks in a game that are important to keep a team away, and you can't. It's like making free throws at the end of an NCAA tournament game. If you can't make the free throws.
Well, and you would think now with soccer being so, such a big deal now across the country, so many of these programs have been able to recruit guys that, weren't even football players. They came over, soccer players, and can kick. It's just amazing that they're not able to find a guy that can come out and kick a football.
Now, I was just handed a note from a statistician who may or may not work at Clemson that David Treadwell had 2 last-second field goals to beat Georgia. So you don't think that the South just doesn't remember these little things. You're going back to last century memories of field goals.
Hey, well, he said Butler first and then Treadwell once and twice. Denver Bronco, mind you.
Yep.
And I know, kickers play all over the place, but that's where he's best known for. They've had a lot of good talent come through this stadium.
Conservatives just double hands over the football straight ahead in the middle of the line run. And another timeout. Now, by my count, that's 3 timeouts taken by the white. So they should be out. I mean, the referee is not. Yeah, I believe he just put up the closed fist to signal no more timeouts remaining for the white team.
Unless they go buy one or able to swap one.
Well, this isn't Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, that's right. They traded players. They want to trade timeouts. Now, we've talked about quarterbacks in the ACC. Taj Boyd, who got a 4th-round grade, surprisingly. And that's a good example. We talked already about Michael Vick. Matt Ryan obviously working out. Christian Ponder is going to be fighting for his job at Minnesota. Russell Wilson, a revelation, although we were saying this morning when we were having our little coffee clatch that if you met Russell Wilson, if you had the chance, you knew there was a special person there.
Yeah, he was special.
And that he was going to overcome his size. Matt Schaub doing all right, and Phillip Rivers.
Matt Ryan and Russell Wilson both coached by Dana Bible, who's a longtime offensive coordinator, not coaching now, but he had the luxury of coaching those 2 guys.
That my guy Binion again? Yeah, it is.
You're trying to give him that play of the game.
I don't see any 2-point conversion in this game today either, so he may have just wrapped this thing up for the Orange team.
It might be done after that kick.
Yeah, I so impressed with the quarterback class that's come out of the ACC, and Russell Wilson in particular. He was so beloved at Wisconsin that when he got there, within a month, he was a team captain.
Well, if you ever had a chance to sit down and talk to him, and one of the years that I was doing the ACC football, I got a chance to do 5 NC State games. So interviewed him quite a bit, got to know him, and just the things that he was able to do and how he, just handled himself. Yeah. And you could tell he was a leader. It wasn't one of those rah-rah guys. It was just
he's soft-spoken. He's a soft-spoken guy.
The thing is, he commanded a certain respect, and that's why I wasn't surprised when he went to Wisconsin and that happened for him. But it's kind of shocking when 100-plus players say, you're our captain, and you just walked on the place.
At a place, Wisconsin wasn't exactly hurting for talent, mind you. They had great running backs. They had Monte Ball, who was a junior then. They had this offensive line, one of the best in the country. And Russell Wilson came in there, and within a month of working out with his team, was named the team captain. And so I'm delighted for his success.
And people talked about Pete Carroll being crazy and giving him a chance to start.
I think there's some people who are still judging Pete Carroll as an NFL coach based on what happened 15, 16 years ago. And that might be a mistake. So whenever it was, and he was the coach.
41-41.
I understand.
I agree with
you. Guy learned, you can learn. And he had, we know what he did. Every college fan knows what he did.
If Bill Belichick didn't get a chance after he was at Cleveland, he's got a chance to win what? How many Super Bowl after Super Bowl?
Right, and a 26-yard gain there, and constantly has his team in contention. They may be running normal timing rules here now, I noticed, because the clock stopped after that first down. They may be trying to give the youngster the opportunity, Slusher, to run a real live 2-minute drill and bring his team back, and indeed they stopped the clock at 2:06, so it'll be 2nd down and 10. And now they start the clock again, so Dabo Swinney said, baseball game's at 6:30. And now for the coaches, it's their golf tour. that begins. I remember Bobby Bowden used to have the Bowden Tour, and he would go all over the country and start to mingle with the boosters and play a little golf and the fun part of the job, and a little bit of business too, of course. There was a golf tournament here yesterday, as a matter of fact, that Swinney played in, and it's very important to go out and meet your public when you're the college football coach. That's why it's important to deal with that. It's part of the job these days.
And wherever your alumni base is, or wherever you're going to see those people, I was waiting for Grady Jarrett to show up. That's 6'1", 290 people, and can get off the football.
Quick. That was quick. That was supposed to be a 3-step drop. He got there on the 3rd step.
That's a disruptive young man there out of Conyers, Georgia.
That's fast for that weight too.
Yeah.
And at 6'1", 290, you think he'd be a little heavy looking, and he doesn't look heavy at all.
Reminds you of Ingram for South Carolina a few years ago. Remember
Melvin Ingram.
Yeah, Melvin Ingram. I couldn't think of his first name, but goodness gracious, he had quickness.
Yes, that's pretty fast too. So he's got to get rid of it. He can't. He's fast.
Grady said, "Hey, I'm gonna get me some stats in this game."
Yes. And that will probably be it. I don't think that the Clemson Tigers are going to run any more plays. It's the Orange with a 4th quarter touchdown, wrapping up this game. Again, mostly good news for the Tigers. Some injuries, possibly a serious injury to their 2nd string or 3rd string quarterback, Chad Kelly. Taj Boyd did not play today. Sammy Watkins was spectacular, as you might guess. And a good crowd on hand, getting a chance to see what the Tigers of 2013, in part anyway, will look like. A lot of fun, and on a perfect day in Clemson, Charles and I will have some final thoughts when we return. This is ACC on ESPN.